స్వామీజీలో అనావృష్టి ప్రదేశం రాజస్థాన్కి వెళితే 11 సంవత్సరాల వరకు వానలేని సమయంలో 55 డిగ్రీలు మండిపోతున్న భూమి ఉన్నట్టుండే మేఘాలు ఇదయ్యి ఫార్మ్ అయ్యి వర్షం కురిసిందంట. 11 సంవత్సరాల ముందు పుట్టిన అబ్బాయి ఇప్పుడు 11వ సంవత్సరం అడుగుతున్నాడు, అమ్మా ఆకాశం నుంచి ఏం పడుతుంది? ఆ పరిస్థితులు మా స్వామీజీలు చూశారు రాజస్థాన్లో, గుజరాత్లో. ఇక్కడ కూర్చొని మనం వేస్ట్ చేస్తాం, రకరకాల విషభోగాలతో మర్చిపోతూ ఉన్నాం. మాకే ఆశ్చర్యం అవుతుంది కొన్నిసార్లు. మా రామకృష్ణ మిషన్ సెంటర్స్ ఇన్ ద నార్త్ ఈస్ట్ ఆర్ ఇన్ ఒరిస్సా ట్రైబల్స్ ఆర్ ఇన్ ద జంగల్స్ ఆఫ్ అరుణాచల్ ప్రదేశ్ ఆర్ మేఘాలయ ఎలాంటి పనులు చేస్తున్నారని. నాకు ఒక అవకాశం దొరికింది. విశాఖపట్నం నుంచి 8 అవర్స్ జర్నీ హాతామునిగూడ అనే కుగ్రామం, జీపీఎస్లో కూడా ఆ పేరు లేదంట. అలాంటి గ్రామంలో పరిసరాల్లో ఏమీ లేదు, జీరో, ఓన్లీ హిల్స్ అరౌండ్. ఇట్ వాజ్ ఎ నక్సలైట్ ఇన్ఫెస్టెడ్ ఏరియా. The then Chief Minister of Orissa, Biju Patnaik, requested Ramakrishna Mission Headquarters to start a tribal school. And he was ready to give 100 acres without charging a paisa. And today in that 100 acres, we are able to utilize only 25 acres. Other 75 acres is jungle. 700 children from 5th standard to 12th standard CBSE children, CBSE board, they are getting training and they become civil servants in Orissa and India. ఎలాంటి పరిస్థితుల్లో మా స్వామీజీలు చెప్తూ ఉంటారు, బట్టలు వేసుకోవడం కూడా లేదు వాళ్ళకి. కరోనా టైంలో ఇంకా బాధల్ని చూసాం మేము. బికాజ్ వాళ్ళకి స్కూల్కి రావడానికి ఏమీ లేదు. ఇక్కడేమో ఇన్ఫ్రాస్ట్రక్చర్ ఉంది, వాళ్ళకు స్కూల్ అలౌ చేయరు, రెసిడెన్షియల్ స్కూల్స్ కాబట్టి. 3-4 వాలంటీర్స్, 2 స్వామీజీలు వెళ్ళారంటే వాళ్ళ ఇల్లు చూడడానికి ఏమైనా ఎలక్ట్రిసిటీ ఉంటుందా, ట్యాబ్ ఇద్దామా, మొబైల్ ఇద్దామా అని. ఒక ఊర్లోకి వెళితే బట్టలు కట్టారంట, చీరలు. వీడు స్వామీజీలు అనుకున్నారంట బట్టలు అరేస్తున్నారేమో అని. ఆ బాధతో చెప్తున్నాడు అధ్యక్ష స్వామి, దట్ వాజ్ దేర్ హౌస్ అని. 21st century, 75 years of independence. ఆ ప్రదేశం నుంచి ద్రౌపది ముర్ము has become the president of India. ఇప్పటికి కూడా బట్టలు కట్టి అది నా ఇల్లు. ఆ ఇల్లులో ఏం నేర్పిస్తావు? ఆన్లైన్ ట్రైనింగ్. 700 మంది విద్యార్థులకి కేవలం 30 మంది మాత్రమే వర్ ఏబుల్ టు అటెండ్ ఆన్లైన్ క్లాసెస్. సో లాస్ట్ 2 years and half nobody came to the school. Now just now it has started and they are again coming back to the basics. How to wear a shirt. Forget about your other things. It is still going on. Our Ramakrishna Mission is working there. 8 Swamis are there day in and day out. It's a fight against them. And northeast, forget Orissa at least is accessible. Go beyond to the China border. 5 feet across is China border. The Arunachal Pradesh government requested Ramakrishna Mission to start one residential school because in that prantam school start చేయకపోతే వాళ్ళకి ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇవ్వకపోతే 300-500 మంది బాలికలు చైనాకు వెళ్ళిపోతారు. దేశంని తిరస్కరించి వెళ్ళిపోతారు. వాళ్ళు అక్కడ డబ్బులు ఇస్తున్నారు. ఆ 300 మంది ఫ్యామిలీస్ని రక్షించడానికి ఒక స్కూల్. 3 స్వాములు బిల్డింగ్ కట్టి ఇప్పుడు కూర్చొని ఉన్నారు అట్ వెరీ వెరీ డిఫికల్ట్ సర్కమ్స్టాన్సెస్. సో మై డియర్ ఫ్రెండ్స్, ఇవన్నీ మేము ఎందుకు చేయాలి? ఆ ఆజ్ఞ ఉంది, వివేకానంద ఆజ్ఞ. 125 సంవత్సరాల ముందు ఆయన ఉపన్యాసాలు కాదు, ఒక రామకృష్ణ మిషన్ స్థాపించాడండి సన్యాసి. కాంగ్రెస్ పార్టీ ప్రెసిడెంట్ కాదు, బిజినెస్ మ్యాన్ కాదు, ఆఫీసర్ కాదు, ఏమీ కాదు, గోచి కట్టుకున్న సన్యాసి ఒక సంఘాన్ని స్థాపించాడు. బుద్ధుడు తర్వాత వివేకానంద. ఇవన్నీ మర్చిపోకండి. ఇవన్నీ ఊరికి జస్ట్ వచ్చి వెళ్ళిపోయాం, కాలేజీలో పంపించారని కంపల్షన్తో రాకండి. డోంట్ మేక్ ఇట్ ఎక్స్టర్నల్ కంపల్షన్. వీ వాంట్ ఇన్నర్ ప్రొపల్షన్. We don't want silent spectators. We want active volunteers, active members to make a reformation. But first I want to reform myself. So దానికోసం ఈ programs. There are many factors. He has given the principles. He has been giving the principles. I've been following closely his interviews in the net and through media channels. I'm absorbed in the ideas, but we have to work it out. So that is how the process will continue next few months. And just few minutes back also I got a call before the program said the Chief Justice of Telangana has agreed to come on Saturday to talk with the lawyers and advocates of the High Court in Ramakrishna Mission. They will come. We are going to invite the lawyers, invite these law students and conduct one seminar here on coming Sunday, on Saturday, 17th of September. So we have no holidays. We have no vacation. As Honorable Governor said, Sundays we are more busy than anybody else in this city. And I am fighting against this holiday business, vacation business. JP will agree with me. సెకండ్ సాటర్డే హాలిడే, అంటే హాలిడే, అంటే హాలిడే. 365 రోజుల్లో మన వర్తమాన భారతదేశం ఈజ్ వర్కింగ్ ఓన్లీ 165 days. ఏమి దౌర్జన్యం ఇది? దిస్ ఈజ్ ద గ్రేటెస్ట్ సిన్ అంటాను నేను. 200 రోజులు సెలవులా? ఈ సెకండ్ సాటర్డే నాకు పెద్ద ఒళ్ళు మంట. ఎవరు స్టార్ట్ చేశారో ఎందుకో నాకేం అర్థం కావట్లేదు. మళ్ళీ ఫోర్త్ సాటర్డే సండే అంట కొన్ని ప్లేసెస్లో. కొంతమంది వీకెండ్ పార్టీలు అంట. వీక్ అయిపోతున్నారు పాపం అందరూ ఈ వీకెండ్ పార్టీలు చేసుకొని. ఐఐటి పిల్లలు ఆత్మహత్యలు చేసుకుంటున్నారు. సూర్యుడికి ఒకరోజు హాలిడే ఇద్దాం. చాలా పని చేస్తున్నావు నాయనా, హైదరాబాద్ రావద్దు, వేరే ఊరికి వెళ్ళు అంటే తెలుస్తుంది ఏమవుతుందో భూకంపం. సో మై డియర్ ఫ్రెండ్స్, ప్లీజ్ change your mindset as early as possible. Swamiji did not have holidays. He exhausted himself in 39 years, 5 months and 24 days. Man has gone, but his work remained for the next 1500 years. So our plan of action Mark Ramakrishna Mission gave andincharo 1897 lo. We are trying to work it out in our own humble way with the support of the people, and you are the stakeholders, the youth, the officers and the well-wishers, etc., etc. That is how we are keeping up that spirit of yagna, spirit of sacrifice, spirit of service and the culture of the country. That is our contribution. And Saturday we will make a pakka program and inform all of you. Those who are able to come can join the Chief Justice of India of Telangana program. And every Sunday we have youth programs, మెడిటేషన్ క్లాసెస్, భోజనం టైంలో ఇన్స్ట్రక్షన్స్ ఇస్తారు వాలంటీర్ ఎక్కడెక్కడ వెళ్ళాలి అని. అటువైపు హ్యూమన్ ఎక్సలెన్స్ భవనం ఉంది. ఎవరెవరు ఫస్ట్ టైం వస్తున్నారో జస్ట్ గో అండ్ సీ వాట్ celebration is going on, how it has been decorated. There's a big poster of the next 2 months of courses, whether it's meditation, whether it's yoga, whether it's mind management, whether it's personal development, whether it's life skills, whether it is counseling, self-confidence. 36 variety ప్రోగ్రాంలు ఉన్నాయి. అవన్నీ జరుగుతున్నాయి నిరంతరంగా వితౌట్ ఎనీ దిస్ ఈజ్ ఫర్ ఆల్ ఆఫ్ యూ. 1 week కోర్స్ 1 hour per day ఆర్ ఓన్లీ సండే కోర్స్ యాజ్ పర్ యువర్ సిచ్యువేషన్, ట్రావెలింగ్ టైమ్ ఎట్సెట్రా. అయినప్పటికీ వస్తున్నారు. అందుకే వెన్ వీఆర్ డిస్కసింగ్ బిఫోర్ ది కమింగ్ మీటింగ్, 2000 students, some are sitting there in our hall in human excellence because there is no place here. We did not provide LED screen outside. అక్కడ కూడా ఆన్లైన్ జరుగుతుంది. ఎలాగొస్తున్నారు 2000 పీపుల్ అన్నీ వదులుకొని రామకృష్ణ మఠానికి? ఇక్కడ ఏం చేసాం, ఇది చేసుకున్నాం. దట్ ఈస్ అవర్ ప్రైడ్, దట్ ఈస్ అవర్ ఇన్విటేషన్ టు ఆల్ ఆఫ్ యూ. సో దీంతో ఆకండి, వాలంటీర్స్గా రండి, ట్రైనింగ్ తీసుకోండి. ఇంజనీరింగ్ కాలేజెస్ వాళ్ళతో డిస్కస్ చేస్తున్నాను. వాట్ ఏఐసిటీ హెస్ డన్, వాట్ ఈస్ నాట్ డూయింగ్, వాట్ దే ఆర్ నాట్ ఏబుల్ టు డూ, వీ విల్ ఫిల్ అప్ ద గ్యాప్. Swamiji said, fill up the gap, what university cannot do, what the engineering colleges cannot do. They are in difficulty because post-COVID, there is a lot of confusion. దానివల్ల మేము ప్లాన్ చేస్తున్నాం ఇంజనీరింగ్ స్టూడెంట్స్కి, లా స్టూడెంట్స్కి, పిల్లలకి, స్కూల్ చిల్డ్రన్. హౌ మచ్ దే ఆర్ ఇన్ ట్రబుల్. 15 నిమిషాలు కూర్చోలేకపోతారా? మీరే కూర్చోలేరు, మీ తమ్ముళ్ళు ఎలా కూర్చుంటారు? బికాస్ ది కరోనా విచ్ వాజ్ ఇన్ ది లంగ్స్ అండ్ ది బాడీ ఆఫ్ ది పేషెంట్ హ్యాస్ ఎంటర్డ్ ది మైండ్ నౌ. దట్ ఈస్ మోర్ డేంజరస్. మానసిక కరోనా. దానికి మీ ఇంజనీరింగు, మీ మెడికల్లో, మీ సివిల్లో, బీవిల్లో ఏమీ చేయలేవు. చూసాం కదా బెంగళూరు ఫ్లడ్స్ ఏమైందో. 25 crores house is in water because this fellow built house on a lake. Water will tell, you enter into me, now I will enter into you. Pay the price. The Byju's founder is sitting on a suitcase. Azim Premji's son is going in a tractor and paying 45,000 rupees per day in a hotel. World city is very happy. I asked somebody in Bangalore, devotees. Fantastic. Rajaji Nagar, Jay Nagar, JP Nagar, chala baundi Swamiji. Ee IT sector chedipoyindi. Dhamsam ayipoyindi. Because they spoiled the ecology. Lakes are encroached. Boy, the nature is taking revenge. దానికి పాలసీస్ ఏమిటి, దానికి కావాల్సిన ఒక పద్ధతి ఏమిటి? సో ఇవన్నీ లార్జ్ ఫ్రేమ్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ విచ్ వీ షల్ టేకప్. ప్రతిరోజు రండి, ఇక్కడ గేట్ నెంబర్ 1 దగ్గర ఒక 5 పరిస్థితుల్లో ఉన్నాము. 700 రోగులు ప్రతిరోజు వస్తున్నారు రామకృష్ణ మఠానికి, ఈ హాస్పిటల్కి, ఆ హెల్త్ సెంటర్. ఎవ్రీడే 700 పీపుల్ ఫర్ ఆల్ కైండ్స్ ఆఫ్ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్, ఓల్డ్, యంగ్, మిడిల్ ఏజ్డ్. 400 మంది పేదవాళ్ళు, డెస్టిట్యూట్స్, అమ్మ నాన్న వాళ్ళని, వాళ్ళ కొడుకువాడిని తరివేసినవాడు, జాబ్ లేని వాళ్ళు ఫుట్పాత్లో కూర్చుంటారు ఆ మెతుకు కోసం. 400 మందికి ఫ్రీ లంచ్ ప్రతిరోజు జరుగుతూ ఉంది. వచ్చి సేవ చేయి, వాళ్ళకి వడ్డించు, కూరగాయలు కట్ చేయి, హాస్పిటల్లో సేవ చేయి. ఇలాగ కార్యక్రమాలు జరుగుతున్నాయి. అదర్ దాన్ ఈ సెమినార్స్, ఈ ప్రాక్టికల్ వేదాంత, ప్రాక్టికల్ యోగా విచ్ గివెన్ us, ఇవన్నీ ఉన్నాయి కార్యక్రమాలు. మా వాలంటీర్స్తో కలవండి, ఏమేమి చేస్తున్నారో మీ పేరు ఇవ్వండి, మొబైల్ ఇవ్వండి, కాలేజ్ పేరు ఇవ్వండి, వీల్ కాంటాక్ట్ యూ. కాలేజ్ తరఫున కూడా చేయొచ్చు, ఇక్కడ వచ్చినాయి చేయొచ్చు. అండ్ ఫాలో ది రిథమ్ ఆఫ్ నేచర్, ఫాలో స్వామీజీ. అండ్ బహుజన హితాయ బహుజన సుఖాయ, అందరూ సుఖంగా ఉండాలి, మనం అందరము కూడా ఆనంద భావంతో ఇంటికి వెళ్ళాలి. దట్ ఈస్ మై రిక్వెస్ట్ టు ఆల్ ఆఫ్ యూ. ఆన్ బిహాఫ్ ఆల్ ఆఫ్ యూ, వన్స్ అగైన్ ఐ థ్యాంక్ జేపీ అండ్ సీక్ హిజ్ support, seek his ideas of a practical program of channelizing this youth power for national development and cultural progress. Over to the volunteer for instance. I just token of love and affection to our beloved Jaiprakash Narayan.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you, sir. So there are some guidelines and instructions for prasadam distribution. Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable time. Everyone, please be seated, please. Just for few minutes. Yes, thank you. So there are some general instructions for prasadam distribution. I request all the ladies.
Shashank, just 1 minute. అందరు లేచి వెళ్ళిపోతున్నారు, ఎక్కడికి వెళ్తారు? అలా వెళ్ళిపోతే ఆనందం దొరికిపోద్దా? ఎక్కడ ఇస్తారు, ఎవరు ఎక్కడికి వెళ్ళాలి? ఇది కొంచెం ఉన్న వెళ్ళిపోతున్నారా బ్యాగులు తీసుకొని? మన బ్యాగులు నింపుకొని వెళ్ళిపోతారా ఏంటి? హలో బ్రదర్స్, సహనం సర్వదుఃఖ నివారణం. ఎ ఫ్రూట్ ఆఫ్ పేషెన్స్ ఈజ్ ఆల్వేస్ స్వీట్. కొంచెం ఆకలి ఎక్కువైతే అన్నం రుచిగా ఉంటుంది, కొంచెం జాగ్రత్త.
సో ladies, you can move from your right side to the puja mandapam. The prasadam will be distributed in the puja mandapam. So I request all the ladies to move from your right side, that is my left side. And for gents, the prasadam distribution is arranged in VIHE shed. Our volunteers will direct you. All the boys and gents should move from the behind of this auditorium. And instructions about book distribution. The book that is released today, My Life is My Work, will be distributed.
Hey. Wrong instruction. Another Swamiji's book will be given, small one, not this.
Okay, not this book. The book distribution for today's program can be collected from the second book stall that is near BIHE. And the certificates of today's programs will also be issued near the VIHE office. I request all the coordinators,
college groups,
to go near the VIHE office and collect the certificates.
Okay, and one small book will be given to you, Vivekananda Life and Message, published from Hyderabad, which contains one incident and message of Vivekananda, different topics. That is free distribution for all of you after the lunch is over. Okay, that is for the student. And for the devotees who are here, the book which is released today, My Life is My Work, pictorial biography of Swami Ranganathanji. It's a high price book. It's a coffee table book, but because of the price rise in paper and printing, etc., post-COVID, we are not able to maintain it. So it's at a higher price. It is not for masses. So those who are interested to buy this book from the main bookstall, today we are giving you 20% discount. So a 650 rupee book will be around 20% less. That will be in the main bookstall or in this, as per the instructions. Please buy the book and see the biography of Revered Maharaj. That will be for the devotees. Okay. Now volunteers from ladies, gents from the back side, ladies line by line only, gate wise, door wise, will go to the lunch. Maintain the dignity, maintain the decorum, and do not waste food, do not criticize food, and have good lunch. And anybody else wanting to know more, meet our volunteers, etc. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Everyone please be seated.
Gent side, please sit down. Kuchandi. Gent side, kuchandi, line lo vastaru. Keep telling, keep telling, keep telling.
The volunteers will guide you. Please be seated. I kindly request the volunteers to coordinate with the audience. I request all the audience to please be seated and go line by line. Do not rush and maintain the decorum of the institution. Students, please be patient, sit in your places. The volunteers will come and guide you. Go by row by row.
Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya, repeat. Sarva dharmaswarupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha Yathagner dahika shakti Ramakrishne stita hiya Sarva vidya swarupam tam Sharadam pranamamyaham Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukhaswarupaya Swamine Tapaharine Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. Please repeat. Every soul is a young eagle soaring higher and higher, gathering more and more strength, till it reaches the glorious sun. Strength is life, weakness is death. Always keep an index, keep a graph, vertical, horizontal, 10 points above, 10 points horizontal. Check where is it stuck up or where is it moving, which direction. If it is going in the wrong direction, why that wrong direction? What is the loophole? What is the lack of training? Somewhere we have missed the focus. That's why other virus will come into the system. Okay? So today, 5th day of the session. Monday, Tuesday, I took charge. I gave you some ideas. Wednesday, Thursday, to our faculty. Today, Friday. This is our Swamiji from Chennai, Ramakrishna Bhatt. He is Vivekananda. He is the editor of our monthly journal called Vedanta Kesari, which is in your table. He is the editor. He takes care of it last couple of years. That is one of the oldest magazines in the whole country. 1914 it started. 1914. Before that also it was there in another name. Then it moved to Himalayas. Then slowly this magazine came, Vedanta Kesari. Vedanta means Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Vivekananda. Kesari means lion, not a Kesari. Not the alwa, sweet. Kesari means lion, the lion of Vedanta. That is the translation. Okay, lion is always fearless. Vivekananda story. So he takes care of that. He's from Chennai. He has come for a purpose here to promote this magazine, to inspire people to become subscribers, etc. So we are trying to provide space, contact people. Okay, quick. Late, you are late. So new ideas are very important. New perspectives, which should come from all directions, in different formats, very visual. So next 1 hour, listen to him, observe what is the psychology behind fear and fearlessness, his experience. He is a mentor for IIT students in Chennai. In IIT we have a study circle, started 18-20 years ago, Vivekananda Study Circle, IIT Madras. So every Sunday they meet, meditate, understand. So this is a very interesting for the cream of the society. They are very intelligent people, but they need some spiritual values, they need some direction. Knowledge may be there, but how to use the knowledge. So even IITians are suffering with addictions and suicides and psychological problems. That means technology itself by itself will not solve your problem. You need sweet, you need some support, you need some strength, you need meditation. So IIT Madras going on well, Sunday, every Sunday. It is there in Kanpur, Kharagpur, Bombay, Delhi, small groups, and help the technocrats into good citizens, contribute to the country. So Mahamedanji is a wonderful person, quite focused. So he was in Chennai, Mysore. We have so many educational institutions in the country. So there also he worked for some time. So he is now here. So listen to him, clear your doubts, and make yourself fearless and presentable to the society. Okay? Dr. Swami Vivekananda.
I'll present some ideas, some thoughts on fear, the source of fear, and also how we could come out of it. I don't know what you have been already discussing last 4 days, So there may be an overlap. But when you are learning something new, it's always good to revise, because things become clearer when you reflect on them again and again. You probably have heard Swamiji's statements. Fear is the mother of all misery. Fear is a sign of weakness. Whatever makes men weak and fear is the only evil that should be shunned. What is evil in society? If you ask, they will say, oh, murder, this and that. Swamiji says, weakness and fear. This is the only evil in life. No, that robber, that dacoit, is he not evil? No, it is weakness that has made him become a robber, a thief, a murderer, or any other criminal activity. It is because of moral weakness that he is doing that. So, weakness is the source of all evil. Fear is the source of all evil. It is fear that is the great cause of misery in the world. It is fear that is the greatest of all superstitions. Our rationalists want to remove God because it is superstition. Swamiji says, no, it is your fear which is superstition. Oh, fear is a superstition? Yes. Andhavishwas. Fear is an andhavishwas because you believe in fear. You believe in fear, then that is a superstition. Because there is nothing like fear. You are believing in it, so it is a superstition. Greatest of all superstitions, Swamiji says. It is fear that is the cause of our woes, and it is fearlessness that brings heaven even in a moment. I want heaven. We don't like the idea of I will go to heaven after death. Who knows where I will go? Do you know? Can you guarantee? No, I heard. Some book it is written. Book I will also write. You write in book, I don't understand that is a valid reason for me to accept your statement. I want to have the experience of heaven now. But again, what is heaven? Every culture has its own understanding of heaven. If you go to heaven, you will be eating whole day. You will not have stomach upset. You will have so many enjoyments, pleasures. It is babies' understanding of heaven. Because they like to eat laddus, they like to eat laddus even in heaven. That is not heaven. Heaven is strength. Heaven is power. Heaven is wisdom. Heaven is peace. Heaven is bliss. And that I want here, not after I die. I will suffer all my life here and then I'll go to heaven. I want to have that experience of heaven here. Can I have it? Swamiji says, you can have it. In this very moment you can have it. How? Become fearless. The moment you become fearless, you are in heaven. It is fear which is the root of all misery. Whatever sickness, mental sickness, physical sickness, everything. Exam fear, stomach upset. Exam fear, fever. You see, physically also, fear is affecting my life. Mentally, physically. What are the sources of fear? Our scriptures, it speaks of three sources of misery. Tritapa, it is called. Tapa is heat. Not pleasant heat. It is something which burns. Three sources. What are the three sources? First is this nature. It is very, very cold. 20 degrees, minus 20. People Europe, they are suffering now. Even here in Hyderabad, very, very hot. No fan, no AC. You will be roasted. So this nature is torturing me. I am afraid of this heat. I am afraid to go out. I will have a sunstroke. Then living beings, maybe animals or fellow beings, I have a source of, they are a source of fear for me. They are a source of misery for me. One is this, nature and living beings. It is called Adi Bhautika. Another source of misery, fear. Misery means source is fear, mind you. When you talk of misery, go back to the root. The root is fear. Fear is the root of everything negative. Adi Daivika. Adi Daivika, there are some supernatural powers. You call them ghosts. And then the planetary influences. They also affect me. They also influence my life. Not always, not with everyone, but sometimes it happens to some people. Then Adhyatmika. My own body is a trouble for me. My own mind is creating so much misery for me. Now how do I escape? From nature I can escape. From that evil man I can escape. How will I escape from my own body and mind? My body and mind is torturing me. Oh, everything is there. You have good, your middle class or upper rich class. Oh, no problem about food, clothing, shelter. Parents are there. You are not an orphan. You have some good job also. Maybe you are doing well in studies. Then why are you suffering? My body and mind is making me suffer. So these are the three sources of suffering, and the root of all suffering, the root of all misery is fear. There are some unexplainable fears. This is another point I am touching. Sometimes people like this, everything is okay, good family, everyone is nice, but still this fellow is having some fear. It is called phobia, right? You are familiar with the word. Someone has phobia for dogs. If they see dogs, they'll start shivering. Arey, this is a very nice pet dog. Play with it. No, no, no. I am shivering seeing the dog. I remember someone was afraid of fish, aquarium fish. If I see the aquarium fish, I am frightened. Ayo, aquarium fish, even babies will like to play. Why are you afraid of this fish? I don't know. If I see fish, I become breathless. I am filled with fear when I see aquarium fish. It is called phobia. Some are afraid of darkness. You will go into a dark room, they are very brave outside. Dark room means they are like babies. No, I am afraid of dark room. Heights, when they see a top building, you send them to the building top, they are afraid they will jump. I don't know, I feel like jumping, I am afraid. And it is first floor, why will you be afraid? No, no, I am afraid. Some fear. There is no rational experience, no explanation for that. How to understand this? What is the source of this fear? Unexplained fear. Irrational. How do I explain this? Swamiji explains it like this, you see. There is something called instinct. This fear is functioning like instinct. Not that I want to fear, it is happening. I am not wanting to become fearful, it is happening. I am feeling fear. It has become instinct. Instinct means something which comes naturally for me, automatically. It is happening. What is instinct? All that, I quote Swami Vivekananda, all that we now call instinct is the result of past experience degenerated into instinct. You will have to follow me closely now. Whenever a thought arises in the mind, whenever we engage in any action, it leaves a mark on the mind. This mark is called samskara. You are familiar with this word? Samskaramo, samskara. Any thought, understand this. How many thoughts you had today morning? Don't ask. So many thoughts. Every second it is like a bombardment of thoughts and not in my control. Every thought is leaving a mark on the mind. You will have to slow down and reflect on this. Every thought, every emotion, feeling is leaving a mark on the mind. And that mark, when you repeat, it becomes deep groove. It becomes a groove, it goes inside into the subconscious mind. Now I told you, pay attention. Okay, that thought is broken, that feeling is broken, but it has gone inside into the subconscious mind. When this attention span is again withdrawn from that external activity, from inside the subconscious, this thought, this feeling comes again to the surface. There is a power of the mind, it is called attention. What is attention? Attention is like a searchlight. You can turn anywhere you want, and wherever you turn, that is perceived. Let us say it is a dark room, here is a searchlight. I turn it like this, I see this photo. Turn it like this, I see you. Turn like this, I see Swamiji. Wherever you turn the searchlight, you see that, you perceive that. Attention is like that searchlight. Now this attention, usually, for most of us, it is only for a short period. Here is attention, next it will go. Now are you paying attention? In between some thought is coming, disturbing, and then you are thinking, ఎప్పుడు ఎలాగున్నారు ఈ స్వాములు ఎక్కడి నుంచి వచ్చిన చెన్నయ్యా then your Chennai memories went, you are already remembering, చెన్నైకి నేను పోయినాను, something will happen. Then you will say, hey, come back. Attention is that attention, when it continues for a stretch of time without breaking, we call it concentration. Concentration is nothing but attention flowing on an idea, on an object, whatever it may be. When it flows uninterrupted for a stretch of time, we call it concentration. Now, this subconscious thought, this subconscious feeling, it will come up. When it comes up, it captures this attention searchlight. Here is a searchlight. This has come up. It simply captures this attention. And inside will begin a 3 hours Bollywood, Hindi or Telugu movie. Where all the heroes are heroines, right? A movie will begin. It will be a romantic movie or a horror movie, adventure movie. Some movie will begin inside. Your attention is totally captured by that samskara, and you will go on reinforcing that samskara. Suddenly your teacher says, pay attention. You have seen that in school? I am seeing you only, sir, but I know you are not seeing me. You are physically seeing me, physically present, mentally absent. So teacher says, pay attention, because I know you are looking inside. We live in two worlds. This is the external world and there is an inner world. Are you following me? We are living in two worlds. You are now sitting here in this physical world. You are also roaming in your mental world. You are moving between these two worlds. Those who are successful, they stay focused. When they are outside, they stay focused outside. When they concentrate inside, they stay focused inside. Majority of us, we don't have that power. We keep going inside, coming outside, not by our strength, not by our will. It is by the power of the samskaras. Now, this samskara which came up, let us take one example. Let it be concrete. I like laddus. Tirupati laddu, so nice. I have eaten a laddu. You gave me, oh nice Swami, you came. You gave me a laddu. One more laddu. Third time I ate the laddu. What happened? The taste, it became deep experience. Everything is an experience. Thought is an experience. Feeling is an experience. Now that experience went inside, it became a samskar, laddu samskar. Next time you say Hyderabad, immediately laddu samskar comes up. Now that captures my attention and I am dreaming about laddu. I am desiring laddu. And you people say, no more laddu. I am disappointed. And it is there, you may give me, but the other fellow also wants that laddu. I am afraid you will give it to him. Oh, 3 more people have come. Oh, 1 by 3, I will get very small then. I am afraid I will not get it. I am filled with fear. Now, every time I touch this laddu samskar, it becomes strong. It is energized. When it goes back, it is a very powerful fellow. When it goes into the subconscious mind, I say, pay attention. So you withdrew your attention from the laddu, it went inside, but now it is a very strong laddu. It's like a powerful man. Next moment, within 30 seconds, it will come up again. And when it comes, it will capture your attention again. You say, no, I don't want, I have to study. It will not allow you. It will capture your attention. Again you force yourself, release, I want to focus here. It will go inside. Within few seconds it will come. Have you experienced this? We are all slaves to samskara. That samskara tortures me. It may be good, it may be bad. When it is bad, terrible life. Now, how did this samskara take shape? Who put it inside? God? God put samskaras inside me? Who put? We ourselves put it. How did we put it? By experiencing it, by repeating the experience, it became more strong. By repeating the experience, that samskara became more strong. That's why it is told. Now this willpower, you are using willpower. No, I don't want this samskara. It may be any samskara. Laddu is a very innocent one. Replace laddu. Each of us, we have our own laddus. We like something, we desire something, or we fear something. Laddu is a positive imagery. There is a negative imagery also. There may be a ghost. You don't want to think of ghost, ghost only comes up. You are afraid of ghost. So either laddu or ghost. We all have our own ghosts, our own laddus. But it is coming up and it is capturing my attention and I am suffering from it. And I am trying to use my willpower to say, no, I don't want. I don't want. I am trying to use my willpower. But willpower is very weak. Why? Imagination is more powerful than willpower. Please note this. Imagination is more powerful than willpower. What you are imagining is going to be your life. Whatever you are imagining will be your life. Imagination is more powerful. That's why we are told every time you overcome a temptation, willpower becomes strong. Every time you overcome a temptation, willpower becomes strong. Now I have to detach myself from this samskara which has captured me, which is torturing me. Have you followed until now? Now, this samskara, this instinct, this automatically coming, natural, I feel like doing that, I naturally feel like seeing that, I naturally am afraid of this, nothing natural. It is samskara coming up because you put it inside. This is the point I want you to understand. Whatever is your experience, this is what I am. No, that is not what you are. This is what I am. No, that is not what you are. You choose to do that. No, I didn't choose. Maybe past lives. When did I choose? I don't like this experience, but still it is happening. You made the choice sometime in the past. When? So many lives. We have so many lives before this. Whether you understand or not, you have to accept it. Why? Because with a deeper reflection, you will realize the truth. How did it come to me? From my childhood, I am having this fear. How can it come if it was not put inside? Who put inside? God? Doesn't have any other business? I put it inside. When? I was just a small boy. When did I put it inside? Logical. In some previous lives. That samskara, that instinct now is taking the shape of buddhi, intellect. You are trying to use your intellect to overcome fear. It will not work. You will have to use it, but that is not sufficient because that intellect is also colored by your instinct. I'll read Swami's statement. Now that I have given you the background, I think you should understand this statement. All that we now call instinct is the result of past experience, degenerated into instinct. And that instinct regenerates into reason again. That samskara, which is now become an instinct means automatically it comes up. Automatically it comes up. That is called instinct. That instinct has now become reason. I'll tell you something. Oh, Swami, we also have intelligence. I don't believe all these things. Don't accept that intelligence. What? You are doubting my intelligence? You know what I am? I am a postgraduate. That is useless certificate. Don't accept, don't follow your intelligence. Why? Whom should I follow? This Babaji? No, not even Babaji. Very dangerous. Read a scripture like Bhagavad Gita. Or if you want to follow a personality like Vivekananda. Because there is no matlab. There is no agenda, hidden agenda. All these devotees will give me money. I will have 25-story building. I will have 5 cars. I will have 10 secretaries. His life was different. And the life of Sri Ramakrishna. Hardly any cloth on his body. And his room has 4 doors. Interview, no question. The door is always open. And he doesn't sleep also, day and night. This is a tradition. Now, I will have to accept somewhere Guru Vakya and Shastra Vakya. Why? If I don't, I will be depending on my intellect, and that intellect is nothing but degenerated instinct. That you have come here is the first step to awaken. You made a choice to come here, human excellence. First step you have already taken now. Yes, I want to awaken. It is called awakening of intellect. Buddhi has to be awakened. I have Buddhi, Swami. What do you mean it is not awakened? It is instinct-dominated Buddhi. That instinct-dominated Buddhi has to be purified now. When it happens, your intellect is your Guru. You don't need anyone outside. A child begins to play on the piano. Swamiji is giving an example. At first, she must pay attention to every key she is fingering. And as she goes on and on for months and years, the playing becomes almost involuntary, instinctive. How many of you have come by vehicle, two-wheeler? Do you remember when you started learning, if it was geared vehicle, first gear, second gear, clutch, so much attention. Oh, hump has come, now second gear, okay, then go clutch. Now do you think all of that? You are talking over phone and you are watching something, talking with your friend. When you changed gear, how you moved? Why? What is happening? Who is doing it? It has become automatic. Automatic means what? It has become instinct. Subconscious mind is driving. Conscious mind is thinking something, subconscious mind is driving. It goes like that. Most of us, we live our lives on autopilot mode. Autopilot mode. We have to live consciously. When you live on autopilot mode, someone may say, isn't it easy? See, I didn't even know I was driving. I am here in the institute. On the way, did you see something? Nothing, I was dreaming something. It may help you in driving vehicle, but you will be trapped by such fears. There are things, a ghost or a laddu, which will capture you. If I have to escape that, if I have to be in control of my life, I have to be aware, conscious. I'll touch that point. What was first done with conscious will does not require later on an effort of the will. Almost all the actions which are now instinctive can be brought under the control of the will. You see, whatever is, you have fear, you have an instinctive fear, it can be brought under control. That is the point. You have a fear because you started it sometime. Some previous lives, you started it. You had an experience. When they go deep, they will find someone fell down from the building. Someone was thrown from a building. Now the moment they see height, they feel fear. Someone was, that person who had fear of aquarium fish. I told, previous life you were eaten by a shark. Maybe, I don't know. That's why you are afraid of even a baby golden fish you are afraid. It doesn't make any sense. Afraid of a dog, sometime it has bitten me. And now the moment I see the fangs, I am afraid of it. Because all these experiences are stored in the mind. If we take a new body, Gita says, once the body is gone, the soul, Atma, takes another body. But the experience remains in the soul. It remains in the mind, Sukshma Sharira. So next time also, it is afraid of that. Whatever that experience painful was. Almost all the actions which are now instinctive can be brought under the control of will. What is instinct in lower animals as well as in men must be the degeneration of will. I did not use my willpower properly. That is why I am now in this condition. What we call instinct in men or animals must be therefore degenerated. Voluntary actions, I did it. Now it has become automatic. If I am having something I cannot control, it is because I only started it sometime. Recognize this point. Don't blame God. Don't think Mercury will come here and I'll be okay. Mercury has other things to do. No, Shani is there and Graha is here. That is also true. But more than that, I am responsible. I made a choice sometime, consciously. I indulged in some actions. Now today those actions have become automatic. Those experiences are coming automatically. I have to work it out myself. Experience started that knowledge, and that knowledge is there. All involuntary actions in the human being which have become instinctive are the results of past experiences. Whatever you have. How many of you think you have instinctive fear? Means automatically you have fear. Fear of something. Something bad is going to happen. I think fear that will happen. Simply I keep fearing. You have such experience? If you have, understand, you only started it sometime. And it is not, nen ilage. No, you are not lalage. You made a choice, change it. You want to change? Make your choice. No, I am trying, it is not working. Then you should know the correct technique. No 25,000 rupee technique. Nothing like that. By the time you finish hearing Swami Vivekananda, you will know what you should do. What is the way out? One is practicing Sakshi Bhava. You know what is Sakshi Bhava? I don't know. Are you taught any guided meditation here? Okay. Now, who is talking here? Am I talking or are you talking? I am talking, right? Wrong. We all are talking. Are you not talking? Are you not talking in your mind? You are commenting. Em cheptunadu Swami? Parale. Something. I know little Telugu. You are commenting, you are judging, you are continuously talking. Do you know which language you are using? Not very sure. But you are talking all the time. Continuous you are talking and you don't know what language. Telugu na, English ah? I was talking, but you don't know. You are right? You are not very sure, but you are talking. And you think you are that voice. There is a voice talking. Now, sit straight, close your eyes. Sit straight, close your eyes. Listen to that voice. Is it talking? Is there a voice talking inside? Someone is telling something. Some words are coming. Some sentence is formed. Maybe in Telugu now. You are conscious of the language. Now to see what is happening in the mind. Close your eyes, see what is happening in the mind. You see some pictures, some images, some people. You are seeing them. You are seeing some pictures floating around. People are coming, things are coming. You are seeing this world. By closing the mind, you are seeing a world inside. Now you are also listening to a voice which is talking. If there are people in your mind, they are also talking. You are also talking. There is a voice talking. Short sentences, comments are coming. Listen to those comments. Be still, listen to that voice. Some words are taking shape in the mind. Some words are formed. Some words are being uttered there. You can hear that. You know some voice. You are listening to that. If you are listening, you are separate from the voice. You are listening to the voice. You and the voice. You both are separate. Yes, now gently open your eyes. Did you for a second listen to the voice? Some talking was going on in the mind. We think we are that voice. We are not that voice. Are you this dress? You will say, of course not, Swamiji. I am not this dress. Yesterday I had a different dress. Tomorrow I will have a different dress. And now also I can remove this dress. I will be in a different dress. There is a voice in the mind. And I have identified myself with that voice. Whatever that voice tells, I think I am telling. I am not the voice. I am not that voice. It tells you, come, we'll go, it is enough. It is a voice telling you. It is not you. It is a voice, it is the buddhi, degenerated intellect, which is nothing but instinct, telling you, come, we don't have to go to this class. Let us go to cinema. It is that degenerated intellect which is telling me now, there is a voice. How does it tell me? It is a voice. I am listening to that voice. If you can daily practice guided meditation, you can ask Maharaj, we have CDs. Every day if you practice guided meditation and you learn to detach yourself from that voice, detach yourself from those images in the mind, every day consciously if you practice, you will develop the power not to be influenced by fears. How does fear come? Does it come like a ghost? It comes as a voice, a torturing voice inside. Oh, if it becomes like that, oh, if that is not done, It goes on anticipating failure and difficulties, so many things. It is fear of the unknown. Fear of the unknown. Withdraw. You tell, this is fear. This is fear. The moment you tell, oh, this is fear, there is a separation. You are not identifying with fear. If you practice this, next time you are becoming angry, you can recognize, oh, I am getting angry. Some people who are little control over mind, they can see, I am getting angry. Before they say, okay, they are already fully angry. They have become one with anger. Now they are ready to fight. A little bit of conscious sakshi bhava, witness, maintaining a witness of what is happening inside. If this is practiced, the moment anger comes or any other emotion comes, I know this is coming. I have the choice to accept or not accept. It is an instinct coming from inside the subconscious mind. I have a choice. No, I will not touch you. I don't want. I will not touch. The moment I say that, it will go back. It will go back. I have not touched it. Attention has not touched that samskara. That samskara goes back. It is now weak. Every time I touch it, the longer I touch it, it becomes strong man. Next time it comes, it simply captures me. It may be fear, it may be anger, it may be lust, it may be anything. I say no. It goes back. How do I say no? That is another question. Someone is walking towards the west, but he wants to go towards the east. But he is walking towards the west. What should he do? He has to walk towards the east. If he says, no, I don't want west, really you know I don't want west. I want to give this up. If I want to give this up, I should give this hand something else. Automatically this is left. Take an example. If a child at home is having your Apple iPhone, 25,000 iPhone, and it liked the phone, it started beating. You say, ayyo, 25,000, my Apple phone. You try to take it away, the child will bring the roof down. It will cry like that. Then its mother will come. What are you doing? Why are you making the child cry? Ayyo, my 25,000. You take that 5 rupee toy. It makes a sound. You show it to the child. You see this? Oh, nice. It will exchange 25,000 Apple phone for 5 rupee toy. Similarly, if I want to make the mind to give up something, I have to give it something. You want to give up some bad habit? Cultivate a good habit. That is the only way you can give up a bad habit. Any bad habit, weakness is sin. Fear is nothing but weakness. So fear is in one way a sin only, because you are torturing yourself. How do I give it up? Catch something else. Mind cannot be empty. Mind cannot be empty. It wants something to hold on. You want to go towards the east? Don't say, you don't want west, I don't want west. Don't say west. Simply tell, I want east. You see the difference? Someone, I don't want this, I don't want this. Array, you tell what you want. Why are you telling why I don't want this? I don't want to have fear. You will never come out of fear. I want strength, I want strength. There is a difference. Is not both same? No, both are not same. I don't want west, I want east. Are both same? I don't want west is clear. Okay, you don't want west, but what you want is not clear. If I say, I want east, clear signal, the body will turn. Okay, east, I will go. When I say, I want strength, strength I will get. If I say, I don't want weakness, I don't want fear, what do you want is not clear. Very big, subtle difference there. Please keep this in mind. You tell clearly to your subconscious mind what you want. And it is your choice. You put something, now you put something different. You make a choice. I'll put something different. What will you put? Strength. Swamiji says, strength is life, weakness is death. What is weakness? Weakness of willpower. And willpower becomes weak because I have not exerted it properly. That's why I told, every time I overcome a temptation, willpower becomes strong. You have to come here morning. Oh, it is very cold, I cannot get up. You said, no, I will go. You broke that. temptation to sleep. Oh, let me miss the class and give some false excuse. No, I will go. You broke that temptation. Your willpower you exerted. Small, small things. You exert your willpower, slowly it is built. So that is Sakshi Bhava. It is a very simple 15-20 minutes. You can ask Maharaj, he will guide you. If you can practice it, then you can witness that there is fear and you are separate from fear. Now you are identifying yourself fear. Oh, I am afraid. No, you are not afraid. There is fear. Fear is a impression, samskara. Samskara you only put inside. Now you think I am that. Now I am thinking I am Laddu itself. No, no. Laddu is something I put inside. I am different from that. I am different from fear. You have to separate yourself from that. It is nothing but a thought, a feeling, which you put inside sometime. Some previous life. It has now become instinct. Automatically it is coming. Separate. In the Mahabharata, Vedavyasa tells, with uplifted hands I am telling people that you can acquire and enjoy artha and kama through dharma. But why are people not listening? Even then they did not listen. Artha and kama. You want material possessions? You want a good bungalow? You want a car? You want some wealth? Very good. You want to enjoy your body and senses? Very good. But do it according to dharma. In dharmic way, you enjoy life. You can enjoy, but through dharma. When you make this choice, whatever I want to enjoy, it will be in the honest way. Immediately, you are on the track to reach, to achieve fearlessness. It is sin, it is weakness which makes me be frightened. Greed is another word for selfishness. When I am selfish, when I am greedy, I will have fear. What if I don't get? What if I don't get? What if that does not happen? I desire it. What if I don't get that laddu? What is Swami if he takes away? I want that laddu. It is not coming to me. Or someone ate away that laddu. I wanted it. I. And I want to experience, I want to enjoy. As long as I keep thinking like this, I have kept myself open for failure, for fear, and for weakness. The moment I start expanding, Swamiji says, expansion is life, contraction is death. Expansion is life, contraction is death. I and my fears. Someone comes to you, your sister, your friend, your neighbor. Akka, Anna, I have some problem. I have my problem, my fears. You go. What am I doing? I am bothered about my family. I am bothered about my life. Who will think about na problem hai naki? You po, you'll say. The best way to overcome your problem is to start thinking of others' problems. How can I solve you? Not meditating on their problem. How can I solve your problem? The more and more I think about others, the more and more I serve others unselfishly, suddenly I find my burdens have gone. The more I keep thinking about my burdens, what I am have this problem, I have that problem. Some people have this. Oh, it is a pain here, I have a pain there. Continuously they keep thinking that pain is going here. Hare, you stop thinking about your body, think about someone else, think about some other activity. Then immediately you find they become healthy. Less you think about yourself, more you think about others, you are on the path to happiness. You want to overcome fear? Forget about you. Involve yourself in some activity which is contributing. I am telling you, very simple technique. If you want to call it technique, you call it technique. There is no other way. Think less about yourself, think about others. How do I think about others? What do I think? He is good, he is fat, or she is good, she is fat. What shall I think about her or him? How can I contribute? How can I help? How can I help my society? How can I contribute? You have, all of you I see, you are not differently disabled. Disabled they were called. I don't see anyone like that. Anyone here like that? Physically disabled? Polio, leg cut, hand cut, anyone? No, nobody, right? How many people are there like that? In this very city, thousands of people. Thousands. Yesterday I was seeing in the Institute of Language, a man affected by polio, strong shoulders, very strong shoulders he has. No legs. Legs is like a stick. Do you have that? What is your problem? You have 2 hands, 2 legs. Are you blind? Anyone here? You are not blind. My nose is not good, my eyes is not good, my body is not good. All fallacies. You start creating fears for yourself. When you have such fear, go and see people who are really suffering. Then you will understand, oh, I don't have any problem. I have imaginary problems. Real problems? No. Any one of you are hungry for last 2 days? Last night also you didn't eat. Anyone like that? What problem do you have? You have food. I see you are all nicely dressed. Some of you have motorbikes also. What problem do you have? The problem is created in the mind. The less you think about yourself, more you think about others, and others means, how do I contribute? Are you contributing to your family? What are you contributing? Mother prepares and you eat and come away. Are you helping? Are you contributing? Oh, I am not earning. Money is not the only contribution. Who says money is a contribution? It is nothing. I participate in life. I share what I have. I share your sorrows. Initially don't share because you have enough of your own. Initially don't do that. You need some strength to share sorrows. Otherwise already I have this much and over that this also I'll need one more course to remove the other one. Initially don't do that. Initially first build your strength. You should be conducting next sessions. It is an advantage for you, you know. All of you here who have taken this course, you have an advantage. What? You know what is fear, right? I don't know much about fear because somehow my life went like that. 1 or 2 little exam fear, that also I didn't care. Really, I didn't have much experience of fear. You have some fear, right? That's why you have come here. Whatever is your fear, you have experienced it. That is an advantage. Make it a knowledge which you can use to help others. You have some experience of fear. Now use that knowledge. How? To come out of it, to help others. You should use this knowledge to help others. The more you start doing that, you will become healthy. You will become healthy. I quote Swamiji. Our own selfishness makes us the most arrant coward. Arrant means extreme. Our own selfishness makes us cowards. Our own selfishness is the great cause of fear and cowardice. What is the cause of your fear? Oh, that man. Oh, my circumstances in life. My boss. Nobody. It is your cowardice, your selfishness. You are selfish. No, I am not selfish. You will have to be brutally honest with yourself. How many of you lie? Nobody lies. All Satya Harishchandra. Now slowly it is going up. 1, 2, 1, 2. You look around. Oh, someone is telling truth. Okay, let me also true. I say, we all lie. I also lie. We all lie. But fairly we are gentlemen. We don't tell too many big horrible lies. White car people dressed in white. They have a different name for them. They will be in white dress always. They are called ministers, politicians. We are not like that. We all lie. No, Swamiji. When I lied, I don't even know. We don't lie to others. We lie to ourselves. Do you accept that? We all lie to ourselves. We all lie to ourselves. It requires courage to recognize that, yes, this is a lie. This is a lie. You can break that now because you have joined this course. After this, your life should be transformed. If you don't do that transformation, it will be a waste. You will not get another chance. You will tell, oh, I tried that also, nothing worked. It will become like that. This course should help you to become leaders. You have the experience of fear, now use that as a resource, as a knowledge to help others. Hey, I have gone through this, I know what it is, I have come out of it, I will help you now. It should become the other side. The smaller and the more selfish I make myself, the more is my fear. Please take these quotations, this is from Swamiji. You can find it, you can ask Maharaj, it's available, Maharaj will give you the reference. The smaller and more selfish I make myself, the more is my fear. If a man thinks he is a little nothing, oh, I am nothing, sir, I am nothing, sir. If you think like that, fear will surely come upon him. And the less you think of yourself as an insignificant person, the less fear there will be for you. So I am nothing, sir. I don't have a good job, sir. Always, I am nothing, sir. I am nothing fellow will become nothing. And he'll be full of fear. There is an incident. The President of America went to NASA. And he asked a man there. He asked him, what do you do? He says, sir, we are putting the satellite on the moon. They were trying to send the satellite to the moon. So that man told, sir, we are putting the satellite on the moon. You know what he was? He was a janitor, sweeper. He was only a sweeper. But the sweeper is telling the President of America, we are putting the satellite on the moon, sir. He has identified himself with a higher purpose. Hey, you are not even a scientist. What you are putting satellite on moon? Hey, I am working in NASA. NASA is putting a satellite on moon. I have identified with myself with something great. I am not insignificant. You see, there is a higher purpose. I am contributing to these scientists by keeping these toilet rooms clean. And otherwise he'll have some infection and he'll fall sick and then satellite will not go up. So I have a contribution. I recognize my contribution and I take pride in that. That is called dignity of labor. So whatever small work I am doing, so other day one man came to me, I am only BCA. What do you mean only BCA? BCA is also 3 or 4 year course. You have studied BCA. Only, why do you say only BCA? You should take pride in what you have. Yes, now I am going to use it to contribute. Whatever I have to take pride in that. I take pride, I say now I use it for achieving double success in life. What do I mean by double success? I told we have 2 lives. The life inside, in your mind, and the life outside. You have to be successful both. It will not do to be successful outside. Some of you probably are successful in life. But inside, you have some fear. If you continue like this, life will become an inner failure, external success. Rich outside, poor inside. What success is that? Outside I am rich, inside I am poor. That is no success at all. That is no wealth at all. I have to be rich inside, if not outside. Outside I don't have this thick gold chain. Doesn't matter. I am gold inside. Outside gold, that chain snatcher will take away. Inside gold, nobody can touch. So first, I have to be successful and rich inside. Outside success and richness will automatically flow. That doesn't mean 5 crores I will get. Why do you think 5 crores will make you more happy? It is meaning in life which makes you happy. It is contributing to society, to other people. The relationships I have with other people, that makes me happy. Don't think all the rich people are happy. They don't have good relationships, many of them. The less you think of yourself as an insignificant person, the less fear there will be for you. So, I have to start thinking about others and contributing to my family and society. Last point, discover your real nature. Discover your real nature. I quote Swamiji, if there is one word that you will find coming out like a bomb from the Upanishads, bursting like a bombshell upon the masses of ignorance, bursting like a bombshell upon the masses of ignorance, it is the word fearlessness. And the only religion that ought to be taught is the religion of fearlessness. Oh, my religion is the only true religion. The other religions are all false. My religion is the best religion. Other religions are all small. What nonsense. Only one religion, religion of fearlessness. Either in this world or in the world of religion, it is true that fear is the sure cause of degradation and sin. It is fear that brings misery, fear that brings death, fear that breeds evil. What causes ignorance? What causes fear? Ignorance of our own nature. There is an imagery in Kathopanishad. There is a chariot, there is a charioteer, Sarathi, 5 horses are there, tied to the chariot, and the Sarathi, charioteer, is holding those horses through reins. He is controlling the horses, by holding the lagam, reins. Now there must be someone for whose sake the chariot is there. So the Yajamana is there, sitting in the chariot. You got this imagery? Now, thousands of years ago, not 500, they say 10,000 years ago probably, in India, our rishis, they were speaking of this. What did they say? They say, this human personality is compared to that. The body is the ratham, chariot. Body is the chariot. Buddhi, intellect, is the sarathi, charioteer. The lagam, reins, mind. 5 horses are the 5 senses. 5 horses are panchendriya, seeing, smelling, hearing, touching, tasting. Pancha indriya, through which I experience this world. I am touching, I am hearing, I am seeing, I am smelling. You see, through the 5 senses I experience this world. These are the 5 horses. I am controlling these senses through the mind. Mind is the lagam. And who is controlling the mind? Buddhi, intellect. And for whom is this chariot going? The body is the chariot. For whom is all this infrastructure? For me. I am the Atman, consciousness. But 99% people think they are the chariots. If the Yajamana starts thinking, I am the chariot, I am the horse, you will tell him, oh, he's gone mad, send him to mental hospital. Won't you tell? Here is a ratham. And the man sitting on it says, I am chariot, I am horses. Hey Swami, this is for you. You are sitting inside it. It is not you. Won't you tell him? But now, each one of us, we think we are this chariot, this body. This is a male body. This is a male chariot, female chariot, black chariot, white chariot, tall, fat, thin. And then that mind, strong mind, weak mind, lagam, buddhi, awakened buddhi are controlled by instinct, unawakened buddhi. We identify ourselves with this body-mind complex, and that is the root of all suffering. So this land, our rishis told us, you have to discover who you are. Until you accept this question and you take up this challenge, I will discover who I am. I know who I am. My father is this, my mother is this, my address is this, PAN card and my Aadhaar card. You see, this is what I am. That is your body. Oh, my certificate, you see, first class first, that is your buddhi. Certificate for your buddhi. Who are you? We have so many identities in the world outside. We have identification with our own body, mind, intellect. We have forgotten who we are. So we have to discover this. Ramana Maharshi, you have heard of his name? Ramana Maharshi. He would repeatedly tell, Nan Yar. You go with Ramana Maharshi, oh Bhagavan, I have fear psychosis. He will tell you, find out who has fear. Adha Nake. Who are you? Oh, so and so name. This is my certificate. Leave that. Who are you? When you start going inside, you withdraw yourself from the imagination, you withdraw yourself from the voice in the mind. What is left is pure awareness. There becomes the discovery of my true identity. That is called self-discovery. And when you discover your true nature, it is called self-realization. Self-realization, another word is God realization. Both are same. I have to go inside and discover who I am. The moment I start going inside, power will manifest, strength will manifest. Everything is inside. Don't think you go to that temple, some pujari will come. You have to go to Tirupati 10 times, then you will become very strong. Nothing will become strong. Bus charge will be wasted. You have to go inside. Because fear is inside, and it is instinct. And it is my own experiences, my own choices which have become like this, I will have to undo, I will have to remove it. What is the difference between men and animals? Swamiji is answering. Food, sleep, procreation of the species and fear. These are common for men and animals. There is but one difference. What is that? Man can control all these and become God, the master. I can control this desire for food, craving. I can control the desire for sleep. No, I will be awake. Shivaratri, whole night I will keep awake. I can control. You ask your dog to do Shivaratri. It will say thank you and it will sleep. I can control. Procreation. Yeah, I can say I will control. Brahmacharya. You control, you come join us. You can join Ramakrishna order. Then fear, I can control. I can control fear. Suddenly there is a tiger. This whatever animal is there, it will run away. Tiger is the king. Lion is the king, but tiger is more ferocious. There is one incident. Swamiji was in some jungle. He would spend many days, weeks alone in a jungle. Tremendous courage it requires. Nobody anywhere. Kilometers together, nobody will be there. You are in a jungle. You don't know where you will get your next food. You don't know. Not a single human being. And there are wild animals. One day he was sitting near a cave somewhere. A Royal Bengal tiger came. Huge tiger. Swamiji saw. He was also looking at Swamiji. Who is this new kind of animal? What did the thought process in Swamiji's mind? Oh, now this fellow will eat me. Okay, anyhow, I have not been able to realize God until now. Let at least this fellow have some food. He must be hungry. Very good. Now, eat me. You will eat me. He will at least have his food. Useless life mine. I have not been able to do any useful thing. Let this body go. Silently, he also watched. Tiger must have been surprised. What is this fellow looking at me like this? So it watched Swamiji for some time and it went away. There is no fear there. Total unselfishness, sacrifice. Even for any tiger, you want breakfast? Okay, eat me. No problem, eat me. Another time he is in England, another lady and a gentleman. Three of them are walking in the meadows. Suddenly a bull started chasing them. Bulls are very strong bulls, English bulls. All three started running. This man ran very fast. The lady has that long skirt and all. She sat. I cannot run anymore. Swamiji stood between her and the bull. That fellow ran away. He crossed the hill and went that side. Now Swamiji had only one choice. He cannot carry the lady. He is a sannyasi. So he stood in front of her. He stood like this, facing the bull. Swamiji writes, my mind was calculating how far this will throw me. He was a hefty fellow, Swamiji. So he was thinking, it seems, he said later, my mind was calculating how far can this bull throw me. It will kill me, I will be hurt. No thought of fear. First, I have to protect her. Second, mathematical calculation it is doing. How far will it throw? That came close. When you are fearless, the world listens to you. The bull stood close to him, shook his head like this, went away. Many such instances we have. Another direct disciple, Swami Brahmananda, Vivekananda's brother disciple. One day in Calcutta, Belur Mutt, near our mutt, there is a small road. He was walking with two other young attendant Swamis. He was already aged. Suddenly a bull started raging. We wear this dress, you see. Sometimes the bulls don't like this dress color. They started chasing. These two young Swamis tried to protect the senior Swami, Brahmananji, president, Sri Ramakrishna's direct disciple. He immediately pushed them both. One of them later told, we didn't know he had so much strength in hand. He literally pushed us away and he stood in front of the bull. It came, stopped right in front of him, went back. The whole universe is one. The whole universe is one. When you become fearless, there will be no more fear left which will affect you. This is true. It is like attracts like. If you have fear, you are attracting fearful things. You will see that. When you are thinking something, it happens in your life. And when you are full of fear, such things happen to you only. Ayo, for me only such things happen. No, you are attracting them. You are attracting things into your life. You are attracting people into your life. Ayo, why will I attract such things? You are attracting. Knowingly or unknowingly, you are attracting. That's why Swamiji says, take care of your thoughts. Take care of your thoughts. Change your thoughts. Consistently change your thoughts, your life will change. You want to go away from the West? Think about East. You want to give up fear? You want to be free of fear? Think of strength. Swamiji says, one day he told, you may meditate on whatever you like. I will meditate on the heart of a lion. Heart of a lion. Why? Fearlessness. A lion has no fear. In the jungle, he is called the king because that fellow has no fear. I will meditate on the heart of a lion. You can meditate on Vivekananda. Meditate on a personality which is absolutely fearless. That quality will come into you. Strength is what the Upanishads speak to me from every page. This is the one great thing to remember. It has been the one great lesson I have been taught in my life. Strength, it says, strength. O man, be not weak. Are there no human weaknesses? Says man. There are, say the Upanishads. But will more weakness heal them? Would you try to wash dirt with dirt? Will sin cure sin? Weakness cure weakness? Strength, O man, strength, say the Upanishads. Stand up and be strong. Stand up and be strong. It is the only literature in the world where you find the word abhi, fearlessness, used again and again. In no other scripture in the world is this adjective applied either to God or to man. Abhi, fearlessness. And in my mind rises from the past the vision of the great emperor of the West, Alexander the Great. And I see, as it were in a picture, the great monarch standing on the bank of the Indus talking to one of our sannyasis in the forest. It is an incident. Alexander was meeting a sannyasi. The old man he was talking to, perhaps naked, stark naked, sitting on a block of stone. Emperor, astonished at his wisdom, tempting him with gold and honor to come over to Greece. And this man smiles at his gold and smiles at his temptations and refuses. Refusing Alexander. Fearlessness. The emperor, standing on his authority as an emperor, says, I will kill you if you do not come. And the man bursts into a laugh and says, you never told such a falsehood in your life as you tell just now. Who can kill me? Me? You kill? Emperor of the material world? Never. For I am spirit, unborn and undecaying. Never was I born and never do I die. I am the infinite, the omnipresent, the omniscient. And you kill me, child that you are? That is strength. You should imagine Alexander the Great telling, come, and this naked fellow, he is saying, Poda, I won't come. Huh? I'll kill you. He laughs. Who can you kill? You'll kill this body. How can you kill me? Alexander is stunned. That is strength. And the more I read the Upanishads, my friends, my countrymen, the more I weep for you. For therein is the great practical application. Strength for us. What we need is strength. Who will give us the strength? There are thousands to weaken us. Thousands of Puranic stories to weaken us. No. We have become like earthworms. No. My friends, as one of your blood, as one that lives and dies with you, let me tell you that we want strength, every time, strength. And the Upanishads are the great mine of strength. Therein lies strength enough to invigorate the whole world. The whole world can be made strong, energized. With it, they will call with trumpet voice upon the weak, the miserable, and the downtrodden. Stand up, build your life, be free. That is the message of Upanishads. It doesn't tell fear God. It tells discover yourself, be free. Freedom is that, not external freedom. I have to be free inside. Believe therefore in yourselves. And if you want material wealth, work it out. It will come to you. If you want to be intellectual, work it out on the intellectual plane. And intellectual giants you shall be. And if you want to attain freedom, work it out on the spiritual plane. And free you shall be. And enter into nirvana and eternal bliss. You have to understand this truth. Whether you believe in a God or not, discover who you are. Cutting edge physics, theoretical physics today, is talking about consciousness. Scientists are talking about consciousness. We use the word Atma for consciousness. It is not that, in all scriptures, I don't believe in all this. What do you mean you don't believe? You don't understand. You don't have the capacity to think. Latest edge, cutting edge physics, scientists are talking about it, consciousness and energy. And our Upanishads rishis have discovered it thousands of years ago. It is not something for one religion. It is not for one countryman. It is for whole mankind. Discover who you are. The more you discover your true self, you will manifest strength. And that is life. That is the only way you can go forward. Stop thinking of fear. You cannot give up fear by thinking of fear. Give the mind something else. What is it? Regularly read literature of Vivekananda. Anything else which makes you strong. Don't read any literature which makes you weak. It may be any scripture. Any scripture which makes you weak, don't read. Whoever may have given it. If you don't do this, you will be punished. God will punish you. Is he a headmaster to punish? There, you will be sent to hell. You will be roasted and fried for eternity. Have no fear. Have no fear. I don't know what will happen outside life. Now I want to be strong. And that strength I have inside. If I am feeling weakness, it is my own experiences, previous thoughts, personal choices, which is today affecting me. Let me change it. Whatever I want, I can be. Whatever I want, I can do if I have faith in myself. I hope and pray that you will all develop this strength to have belief in yourself. Belief in yourself. Fear is not you. Fear is an experience. You don't like it, dismiss it. How do I dismiss? Go towards the east. Remember, fear is west. Strength is east. Continuously turn towards the east. You should give continuous nourishment. Once you finish this course, if you go back to old kind of literature, again you will be in square A. After this course, your food should be different. You are all very careful about food and water you put into your stomach. Are you careful about the food you are putting into your mind? Put good food. Start reading Vivekananda. Any literature which makes you strong. Anything which tells, be careful, God will punish you, be careful, dismiss it. We don't want any fear. We want strength. If you read him, it is totally positive. You will get that strength. And you will be able to help others. Think about others. I have taken 4 minutes more. If you have any question, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I can try to just take it. Yes, yes, good question. There is a voice speaking and I am hearing and making sense of it. That is also a subtle part of the mind itself. It is the mind speaking and mind listening. It is the mind speaking. His question is, okay, you said the mind is speaking, then who is listening? Who is making sense of it? It is a subtle mind closer to awareness. It is mind, base mind speaking, a subtle part of the mind listening to it. You have to make this separation first. Once you make that separation, that subtle mind will become pure awareness. My attention, all my energy is now focused on this voice. It is torturing me and I don't know how to escape. So I drink and sleep. In dream also it tortures me. Withdraw, consciously withdraw, repeatedly withdraw, remain a sakshi. Simultaneously engage the mind in serving others. You are learning something, you are doing something, give a bigger picture for it. That sweeper, toilet cleaner, what does he say? We are putting the satellite on the moon. Identify yourself with a bigger purpose, larger purpose. Moment you do that, you are coming out of your mind. It becomes healthy. Yes. Who is society? For him you are society. For you he is society. Everyone, anyone who criticizes you, he is having his own problems. Anyone who criticizes you, he has his own problems. So inside he has problems, so he will see your problem also. Failure is not a problem. Failure is not a problem. Success inside, success outside. First be successful inside. Outside success has to come. It will come. Develop that strength, become strong inside. How? What is my strength? I have a purpose. What is that purpose? A higher purpose, nobler purpose of reaching out to other people, contributing to other people. I am happy to do that. Anna Hazare. You have heard of this name, Anna Hazare? He was an army man, truck driver, jeep driver. Life became meaningless. Meaning the life la. Then what do? Chalo, we'll go up, suicide. He was sitting in a train in Delhi railway station writing a suicide letter. When he was writing the letter, he saw that side, Higginbotham's, one small book, Swami Vivekananda. He went and picked it up. He read one sentence. They alone live who live for others, the rest are more dead than alive. Swamiji wrote to the Maharaj of Mysore. They alone live who live for others, the rest are more dead than alive. Hare, then from today I will live for others. Why should I die? He doesn't have a degree. He was considered a failure. He also accepted I am a failure. The moment he said, I will live for my village, today whole country respects him. He has transformed a village. One exam, failing in an exam is nothing. What is exam? I was joint controller of examinations. I know what are exams. Teachers will set some questions, you have to memorize an answer. Sometimes it clicks, sometimes it doesn't click. Does that mean I am poor? Not at all. I know a person who was third class in class 12. Third class in class 12, science. He shifted to arts. He became a gold medalist in university. He has a PhD also now, but he was considered third class student. So many examples I can give. That means I am not in this line. Science was not that boy's line. The moment he shifted to arts, that was natural for him, he shone. Oh no, everyone wants to be engineer. I also want to be engineer. Arey, you don't know maths, why do you want to go to engineering? You are so good in arts, come, you will be one of the best painters. Come take photography, you will be the best photographer. Come take some music, you will be the best musician. No, everyone is going engineering, I want to be engineering. Then you will have to accept failure. Don't bother what society says. Society will always tell so many things. Listen to your inner voice, contribute. Be good inside, be successful inside, external success will come. Yes? No questions from here? Is it fear or what? Shyness is different, fear is different. But in a class you should not be shy. If you have understood things, that's good. Okay. How can we overcome overthinking? Overthinking. What do you mean overthinking? The compulsive thinking you are talking. Compulsive thinking. I cannot stop continuously I am thinking.
Overthinking of negative things.
I told you also already. West is overthinking, West is compulsive thinking. You want to stop it, give it good food first. Give it good food. Regularly you give good food. Within 1 month, thinking will change. Every day, half an hour if you read Vivekananda, you ask Maharaj, Maharaj will suggest which book to read. Believe me, experiment. Whether you believe in Hinduism or not, experiment. Just experiment. What will happen? 30 days. Can't you spend 30 days? 30 days, half an hour. Every day, half an hour. Before sleeping. No other disturbance. Mobile phone switched off, no disturbance. Half an hour you read Vivekananda. In 30 days, I challenge you, you will see a different person. That literature, what to read, you ask Swamiji, he will suggest. That is the only way. Engage, give the mind healthy food and give it a higher purpose. And continuously seek, I want to be strong. Physically, mentally, intellectually, emotionally, I want to be strong. Forget weakness, forget fear. You cannot overcome by thinking of it. You will have to think positive. You want to give up something, hold something else. You want to give up fear, hold strength. How to hold strength? It is so abstract. Here is a personality. And Swamiji, what does he say? Upanishads. Upanishads, you can attend some classes. They have courses here also. Yes. Anything else? Negative imagination. It can be overcome through positive imagination. I will close it. I have already taken 10 minutes more. One day, a drunkard was walking in the road and he was carrying a box. It had perforations. Perforations means holes. It had perforations. And you know how a drunkard walks? He was walking like this tipsy man. Now a friend came. Hey, Savdan, you will fall down. Then he said, what are you carrying in this box? Like this. He says, mongoose. Mongoose? Why are you carrying mongoose? You see, when I am drunk, I see snakes around me. I am afraid of snakes. So I am carrying mongoose. Arey, when you are drunk, you are seeing snakes. It is imaginary snakes. Why are you carrying a mongoose for that? Then this man told, this is also imaginary mongoose. The only way I can overcome negative imagination is positive imagination. Negative imagination can be overcome only through positive imagination. When you read the life of Vivekananda, you are imagining Vivekananda's life. When you can read Tirupati Balaji's Puranam, difficult to imagine, right? It is very far away from our life. We don't know what those stories are. You read Vivekananda's life just 100 years ago, 100 years ago, and you see that strength. You have heard so many stories. That is strength. You will listen to our tiger sitting and watching Vivekananda. Vivekananda also seeing, come have me as your breakfast. Bull attacking him, and he says, okay. He stand like this. You imagine. More positive imagination, more good literature, that imagination also becomes purified. So that's the only way. Eat healthy food for the mind will become okay. You have already started. By coming here, you have taken the first step. Don't stop. After this course, if you go back and read your stupid literature, whatever you find, garbage, WhatsApp and internet, you will go back again. After this course, every day half an hour, compulsory, read Vivekananda, life of Vivekananda, message of Vivekananda. You will find within 30 days there will be a transformation in you. Imagination also will change. Consistently you do. You should all become, within next 1 year, support for other people who are suffering. Keep that as your challenge. Keep that as your goal. In 1 year, I will start helping others who are suffering because I know what is this suffering. One professor I met, he is Amrita University professor, now working in Germany. When he was doing PhD, he became totally depressed. He suffered from depression. He came out of it. Now he has started an organization in Bangalore to help depressed people. He says, Maharaj, I know what I suffered. Free, I am helping them. You should do that. That is your challenge. Not simply coming out of fear. You should become so strong. Challenge yourself like that. Okay. Thank you. Jai Ram Krishna. Ramakrishna.
Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Good morning. You're all aware today that we have an interesting subject, no mind. A few weeks ago when we announced this subject, a gentleman asked me, so no mind, I was so intrigued. The no mind, does it mean not thinking or being unconscious? So what is this no mind? I was giving a series of lectures on the Mandukya Karika of Gaudapada. I've given 2 talks on this. I think the first one was the essence of all Vedanta, based on the first chapter of the Mandukya Karika. The second one was the ultimate truth, based on the second chapter of the Mandukya Karika. And today's talk, No Mind, is based on a couple of verses in the third chapter of the Mandukya Karika. The third chapter of the Mandukya Karika is called Advaita Prakaranam, the chapter on non-duality. In the first chapter, the Upanishad was there, the Mandukya Upanishad. And the teachings of the Mandukya Upanishad are discussed in detail, are described in more detail in the second, third, and fourth chapters. So, in the second chapter, what was done was, on the basis of logic, on the basis of reason, and our own experience, the falsity of the world is demonstrated. That the world, Jagat Mithya, world is supposed to be an appearance in non-dual Vedanta. That is demonstrated, that is proved using logic based on our own experience. That's the second chapter of the Mandukya Karika. The third chapter of the Mandukya Karika is, the world is an appearance, but an appearance of what? What is it that is appearing as the world? The classic example in Vedanta, the rope appearing as the snake, All right, the snake is false, there's no real snake, but then what is it that is appearing as the false snake? It's the rope which is appearing as the false snake. What is it that is appearing as this false world, illusory world? It is Brahman, existence, consciousness, bliss, or as we saw in the first chapter of the Mandukya Karika, the fourth aspect, literally the word Turiya means the fourth aspect, but we saw that it does not really mean the fourth. It means the one reality which appears as our waking experience, this one, as our dream experience, and as our deep sleep experience, that one consciousness, Turiya. That is the reality which appears as this world. Therefore, the essential teaching of Vedanta, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, Brahman alone is real and the world is an appearance. And what are we? Real or appearance? We are none other than Brahman, Jiva Brahmeva Naparaha. This thing is talked about and demonstrated in the third chapter called Advaita Prakaranam, the chapter on non-duality. And this is demonstrated with the help of reason. In the third chapter, Gaudapada tells us samsara, this problem which we have, samsara, this is duality. Duality causes samsara. And moksha, freedom, non-duality is freedom. So Advaita is moksha and Dvaita is samsara. You might say that seems unfair. Why would Dvaita be samsara, duality be samsara, in what sense? But just look at our own experience. We have duality. By the way, when Dvaita or duality, when we talk about it in Vedanta, what it means is this subject-object duality, which is the very basis of our experience of this world. I am a limited being separate from all of you. This feeling, which we naturally take for granted, I am separate from all of you. You are different, I am different. This difference, this is the duality, subject-object duality. I am the experiencer and all of this is something separate from me. This subject-object duality is at the root of samsara. Take our experience. We can just look at our experience. In the waking world, is this subject-object duality there right now? Yes. We experience it. And there is samsara. There are things which we like and we are chasing it. There are things which we are scared of, afraid of, uneasy about. We try to avoid it. And thus it gives rise to strife and struggle, what we call samsara. Constant change, aging and decay and death, and probably rebirth again. So this is what we call samsara. And this goes on. This is our waking experience. Look at our dream experience. In dreams, do we have this duality, Dvaita? Yes. In dreams also, we have good dreams and bad dreams, but everywhere we also have that subject-object experience. I am experiencing something. Though later on when you wake up, you realize it was all in my mind. But in the dream, we don't feel that. In the dream, we feel, I am the experiencer and this is something that I'm experiencing. The duality, subject-object duality is there. Dvaita is there. And so samsara is also there. What about deep sleep? When we completely fall asleep, and we are not aware of the world, we do not dream dreams in our mind, we are not even aware of ourselves as sleeping. Deep sleep, is there samsara? We do not experience samsara in deep sleep. I sometimes say, the person with the greatest problems in the world, suppose person is sick and maybe dying and on life support in Mount Sinai or something like that, terrible condition. And insurance is not willing to pay up also. So all sorts of problems, terrible problems. And yet, when that person goes to sleep, falls asleep, deep sleep, that person has no problem. Yeah. In deep sleep, even the sickest person on life support in Mount Sinai has absolutely no problem. So samsara, the sufferings of samsara are not there in deep sleep. Notice something. In deep sleep, the duality is also not experienced. Subject and object are also not experienced. Duality, Dvaita, is not there, or at least is not experienced in deep sleep. And so suffering, samsara, is also not experienced in deep sleep. Gaudapada seems to have a point when he says duality and samsara go together. And non-duality, where there is no subject and object, is freedom from samsara. But does that mean we have to fall asleep and stay asleep? That doesn't seem to be a solution. Though it's not as silly as it sounds, because a lot of people try to take that route. What else is, drinking, taking drugs, trying to forget our sorrows? It's basically to stop this experience of samsara. But that is no route. That is not, even Gaudapada says, actually, samsara is also there. Duality is also there in deep sleep. In what form? He says in the seed form, bijavastha. After all, deep sleep, we wake. We come out of deep sleep. And again, samsara comes back. The same body, the same physical problems, the same financial problems, relationship problems, all of them again come back, which means in deep sleep, the problem was there, not experienced as such in deep sleep, but in the seed form, like a computer being switched off. When you switch it on, all the data is still there. Good and the bad, everything is still stored there. It all comes back. So deep sleep is no permanent solution. Then Gaudapada, how do we solve this problem of samsara, of duality? Even Shankaracharya, in his introduction to the Mandukya Karika, he says, Rogartasya roga nivritti eva swasthata. Just as for a sick person, we seem to be on the Mount Sinai example again. Shankaracharya, 1400 years ago, he gives the same example. Just as for a sick person, curing the disease is attainment of health. Health is basically getting rid of the disease. Health is the natural state. Similarly, he says, the cessation of duality, that non-duality, which is the cessation of duality, that is liberation. Duality is bondage, Dvaita is bondage, and Advaita, non-duality, is liberation. He says, the duality of what kind? When the rope appears as the snake, and we realize the snake is nothing other than the rope. That means, in a sense, the snake sort of, in a way you can say, it merges back into the rope. Actually, there was no snake. There was a misperception. In the same way, when non-duality is misperceived as a dual universe, samsara is there. When we realize the non-duality here and now, samsara is not there. So Shankaracharya also agrees. Duality, samsara, non-duality, moksha, liberation. So how do we go about it? In the 3rd chapter, 31st verse, Gaudapada Acharya, who is, by the way, Shankaracharya's teacher's teacher. When you study the Mandukya Karika and you study Shankaracharya's works, you seem to see, quite naturally, a change in the tone. Gaudapada seems to be much more extreme, what you might call hardcore non-dualist. Shankaracharya's range is much broader. I asked a Swami in the Himalayas, do you think that there is a difference between Gaudapada and Shankara? And why does Gaudapada seem to be more hardcore non-dualist, giving no quarter? Then that Swami said, in the typical Hindi of that place in the Uttaranchal, in the Himalayas, he said, Gaudapada Acharya to bahut pakkad Mahatma the. Gaudapada was, see, the word fakkad it has different meanings in India. In the lower regions, in the plains, it means a beggar. Like what you might call a hobo here. I don't know if there are any more hobos, but so like a beggar. But higher up in the Himalayas, a fakkad Mahatma is a monk who is a kind of a daredevil, who doesn't care for the world, is completely dependent on God, and absolutely has no care for the samsara, for this world at all. So he says Gaudapada was like that, didn't care for anything. And then I said, then what about Shankaracharya? He said, Shankaracharya to Jagat Guru the na. Shankaracharya was a world teacher. So he had to carry everybody along. So his approach is a much more universal approach. We may think Shankaracharya is very non-dualistic, but actually several steps ahead of him is his guru's guru, Gaudapada Acharya. So Gaudapada points out something interesting in the 3rd chapter of the Mandukya Karika. He says, notice one thing. Duality is linked to the functioning of the mind. Where there is mind, there is duality. Where there is no mind, there is non-duality. There's a beautiful verse. He says, Mano drishyam idam dvaitam yat kinchit sacharacharam manaso hyamani bhave dvaitam naivopalabhyate. A beautiful verse which means this world is a projection of the mind or is experienced by the mind. This world, the word he uses is this duality. This duality is projected or experienced by the mind. What does he mean by duality? Yat kinchit sacharacharam. Anything what you see in this universe, moving and unmoving, living and non-living, everything is duality. This is experienced by the mind. Then, when the mind becomes no mind, manaso hi amani bhave. So he has this very beautiful phrase, amani bhava. It means the no mind state of the mind. No mind state, amani bhava. Then what happens? Dvaitam naivopalabhyate. Duality is no longer cognized. The words are very carefully chosen. He does not say duality is not experienced anymore. Upalabhyate. This is difficult to translate. It's a very loaded term in Sanskrit. Dvaitam naiva upalabhyate. But the basic idea we get from here is mind and no mind. This concept of no mind. When the mind becomes no mind, no more duality, non-duality, and no more samsara, moksha. So the problem of moksha and samsara, liberation from samsara, is actually the problem of dvaita and advaita, duality and non-duality. The problem of duality and non-duality is further reduced to the problem of mind, no mind. Amani bhava. So what is this no mind? What is this no mind? Is it, clearly we saw when the mind does not function in deep sleep, there seems to be no duality. But then Gaudapada himself points out, the seed of duality is there in deep sleep because you wake out of deep sleep. And all of the things which you see in samsara are very much present there because they come back. If they didn't, every morning you would wake up fresh, completely blank, hard disk wiped out. Yeah. There was a cinema about this, Hollywood. I didn't see it, but I had read the review about it. That really struck me many, many years ago. It is called the Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. The eternal sunshine of the spotless mind, of a person who forgets everything and then wakes up fresh. So that would, but that does not happen. Every day we wake up with all the knowledge of the past. So the seed of the waking samsara is there in deep sleep. Deep sleep is not a solution. Then what is a solution? What about meditation, samadhi? The path of samadhi, the yogis, the Patanjali yogis, Raja yogis, what they do is, they say, yes, this samsara has to be wiped out. How does it have to be wiped out? When the mind is no mind, when you meditate, and all the modifications of the mind settle down, the world will not be perceived. There's a very important principle to grasp here. This is not what Gaudapada says. We are going to cut this down. But there's a very important principle to grasp here, which is very practical for our lives. I'll tell you something. Spirituality or no spirituality, yoga or no yoga, Vedanta or no Vedanta, all the samsara that you and I, what we experience, what we are experiencing right now, we are experiencing in our minds. Do you agree? No, you've read too much Vedanta, that's why you agree so. But think about it. Every experience that you have, from the beginning till now, and whatever experience we will have from now on, all our experiences are experiences in the mind. Without mind, no experience. You will say, no, there are things outside and we are experiencing them. Actually, what is happening is, when you look at the flowers there, what is happening is light falls on those flowers, and the light is reflected back to your eyes. It enters your eyes, and in the lens of the eyes, an image is formed. And see, already at this stage, what has entered into your eyes is light, not the flower. If the flower entered your eyes, then you would be blind. What enters our eyes are not people and flowers and trees and cars. No, no, no. That would be a disaster. Only thing that enters our eyes is light. And then what happens? The light, it forms an image there, and then the image is, from there it is transferred to not light, electrical impulses in the neurons. There are neurochemicals which are working, and they generate little bursts of electricity between the synapses of the neurons, and that is transmitted from the optic nerves to the certain centers in the brain. So when it reaches the brain, no flower, not even light, not even an image, bursts, tiny, tiny bursts of electricity. That's what reaches the brain. And somehow from that, how we don't know. Neuroscientists also don't know. Just up to that point, they are beginning to understand a lot. But from that point onwards, it still is a mystery. How is that little bit of electricity reconstituted back into the living experience of a flower? Where? In your mind. So far, nobody in the world will dispute it. Even the most hardcore materialist, reductionist will say, yes, this is what is happening. We can't dispute that. Nobody says that actually a flower enters into your mind there. No. It is presented to your mind, to your consciousness, as this flower. So this flower which you are seeing right now, you're seeing it in your mind. This flower is nothing but your mind, vritti, a thought in your mind. All of samsara, your most beloved person, the most annoying person you know, the best of experiences, the most miserable of experiences, all of them are in your mind. You say, no, they are outside and they are being represented in your mind. All right, that's a particular point, philosophical point of view. Representationism. That is one kind of philosophical point of view. But nobody will deny what you are experiencing in the mind. So what is the great secret that we can learn from this? Again, not our main subject today, but worthwhile learning this. Therefore, the quality of our experience depends on the mind, not really on the world outside. Our natural reaction, our natural way of trying to make our lives better is to trying to change the objective, things outside. A wiser person tries to change the subjective. Our whole perception of things and the way we understand and react to things inside the mind. One of the most beautiful things I've heard comes from a monk in the Himalayas who said, I'll tell you in Hindi and then translate into English. Shant man mein bhala sansar kaun dekha hai? Whoever has seen samsara in a peaceful mind. What is the great thing about this? Normally we think just the opposite. My mind is restless because samsara makes me restless. This monk says, you have samsara because your mind is restless. If your mind were peaceful, in the same situation, a person with peaceful mind will experience at least less suffering. Not that everything will go away, but suffering will definitely be less. Good deal of our suffering is our own contribution of our own minds. Again, I'm going a little off track, but it's worth mentioning here. A few years back, I attended a medical conference, not as a doctor, but I was invited to speak. The conference was on pain, and management of pain. And one of the sessions was talk therapies, so counseling for pain management. And there were different people giving talks, counselors, doctors, patients suffering from chronic pain, so on. One of the doctors said something very interesting. He said, I'll let you into a dirty secret of the pharmaceutical industry. The painkillers, he said, some multi-billion-dollar worldwide industry painkillers. He says the effectiveness is less than 50%. Less than half of the drugs have any effect at all. Some of it might be placebo effect, and less than half of it is any, and there are a lot of side effects. That is there. Side effects are guaranteed. And then he drew 3 circles. Pain. Big circle. This is for chronic pain. Continuously people who have different kinds of back pain, things like that. So big circle, inner circle, and the smaller circle inside. He said the smaller circle is the actual physical pain felt. And the bigger circle is the circle around it is the expectation of pain. Oh, it's going to hurt again, it's going to hurt again, it's going to be uneasy. The mental uneasiness and misery coming out of the pain, that is the bigger circle. That accounts for more of the total suffering than the actual physical pain. And the much bigger circle again around it are all the associated social problems that I cannot go such and such place because I will have this pain, things like that. Many other things which are felt to be disabilities. So a good deal, he says, about 70 to 80% of our discomfort and suffering is contributed by our own minds. Only 20 to 30% is the actual physical pain. And the medicines, if they could work, they could only reduce that actual physical pain. They will not address the thinking of our minds. And even there also medicines don't work half the time. So anyway, back to the thing that our minds, samsara, a good deal of samsara is in the mind. If the mind can be made into no mind, the yogi's solution is chitta vritti nirodha. Calm down the mind. When the mind is absolutely still, no samsara. So they call it samadhi. And they have 8 steps. In Patanjali Yoga Sutra, you will see yama and niyama, the moral disciplines. Then how to sit steady. If you want to make the mind steady, the body must be steady. People are so restless. I met this young student a couple of years back, brilliant, going to one of the Ivy League universities, and his parents introduced him. Very nice young man. But what I saw, he couldn't sit still. Even while standing and talking to me, he was jumping around. Steady. The mind has been compared to, you have a bowl with water in it. If you shake the bowl ever so little, the water will splash out. So imagine how steady you have to keep the bowl. Our bodies are always trembling and moving. One Olympic, the rifle shooting, he had written an article. He said we are not generally aware of how much our bodies are moving. It's only when you have to keep your body very, very still for the target shooting. Because a little trembling of the hand also can throw the bullet off several feet at the end of the target. So they have to be very still. And it's interesting to note that at the moment of releasing the bullet, they have to hold their breath. So pranayama. Yes, literally, they have to control the breathing. Now, asana, first how to sit steady. Then pranayama, how to control the breath. Why breath? Because it steadies the body and the mind. The breath is the link between, it's a subtle link between body and mind. The breath. So control of the breath, then pratyahara, withdrawing the senses from the world outside, from their engagement in the world outside, then dharana, dhyana, samadhi, deeper and deeper focus. First there is savikalpa samadhi, or in yoga system, sampragyata samadhi, and then finally nirvikalpa samadhi or asampragyata samadhi, when the mind is absolutely still. What do you get out of it? When the mind is absolutely still, they say, you see the witness, the real self beyond the mind becomes clear. So that's the yogi's approach. Shut down the mind. That's the yogi's approach. Gaudapada does not agree. No mind is not thinking. No mind is not shutting down the mind. No mind is not being inactive. What is no mind then? Amani bhava, no mind, basically means managing the mind, spiritualizing the mind. This is the central question of spiritual life. Whether you are a devotee, whether you are on the path of knowledge, whether you are a Buddhist, whether you are a meditator, whatever it is, ultimately, whatever the philosophy, it comes down, the practical thing comes down to handling the mind. Therefore, you will see this question, what we are talking about today, no mind, this question was actually asked to Sri Ramakrishna by Master Mahashaya, M. We don't think about it that way because the Gospel of Ramakrishna is written in such a simple language. But the tremendous depth in that, I'll tell you what the M asked. The very first question that M asked in his second visit. The first visit, there was no chance of deep discussion. The first real discussion that M had with Sri Ramakrishna, and the very first question he asked, which shows the caliber of the mind. Our questions show a caliber of our own minds. I heard about a university where the examinations are, not that the questions are asked and you have to answer the questions. Rather, you are asked to formulate the best possible question you can. And you're graded on the toughest questions that you can formulate. And the students say it's actually much harder to formulate a difficult problem than to solve a problem. So M, he asks the question, he asks two questions. And I think they are the fundamental questions of spiritual life. The first question is what we are dealing with today, no mind. You know what he asks Sri Ramakrishna? He says in Bengali, Ishware mon ki kore hai? How can I fix my mind on God? Why is that simple question? But why is that question so deep? Because if he asks, how can I attain liberation? How can I find God? Sri Ramakrishna is going to tell him, think about God all the time. Now that's easier said than done. The real question is, how do I think about God all the time? How do I fix my mind on God? He'll say, love God. Sri Ramakrishna's often was said, Vakulata holei habe. If you have intense desire for God, if intense longing for God, you will realize God, you will become enlightened. But then the question really is, how do I get intense longing for God? That's the question. So M is so intelligent, sensitive. He asks that question first. Not how I will realize God. How can I fix my mind on God? He asked that question. That's the first question. Sri Ramakrishna's answer, 3 sentences. He covers the entire range of spiritual practice. Simple sentences. He says, sing the glories of God, take the names of God. Ishware naam gun gan korbe. Bhakti yoga, the path of bhakti. In one sentence. Then he says, dhyan korbe mone bone kone. Meditate. Meditate how? Where? Meditate in your mind, meditate in a corner, meditate in the forest. Which he means in a secluded location. You can't get you can get Central Park here, of course, but not very good for meditation. I tried it. It's actually easier to meditate in this hall here than in Central Park. There's something about the tanmatra, the underlying vibration there, though it's very beautiful. So meditate in the forest, meditate in or a secluded place or ashram, wherever in the mountains, and meditate in the mind. Meditate in a corner of your house, wherever you are. Basically, Raja Yoga, the path of meditation. He indicated it. And the third one is what interests us, what would make Gaudapada perk up his ears. He says, always do Viveka, the philosophical, spiritual discrimination, Viveka. We'll talk about this later on. Always do Viveka between the eternal and the non-eternal. And what you find to be non-eternal, temporary and transient, have Vairagya for it. Dispassion for it. Follow the eternal, give up the non-eternal. So 3 sentences. Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, Jnana Yoga. You see the essence, he has indicated. And in such simple language, in most ordinary Bengali, you'll think that I knew that. It is nothing very great about it. But he has given you just hold on to that, you will realize God. That's just enough. Exactly what M asked, that is the answer he has given. What is no mind? The yogi says no mind is samadhi, shutting down the mind. What does Gaudapada say? The next verse. The verse I just quoted was 3.31, 3rd chapter, 31st verse. Now 3rd chapter, 32nd verse. Next verse tells us What is Gaudapada's advice about no mind? Atma satyanubodhena na sankalpayate yada amanastam tadayati grahya bhave tadagraham. What does it mean? When you realize yourself, the Atman, as existence, consciousness, bliss, as Brahman, then the mind, there will be no more desiring, reaching out, grasping in the mind anymore. When the mind finds nothing out there to grasp, then it becomes a non-grasping mind, agraham. That is no mind. Then the mind becomes no mind. What does it mean? Let me repeat a story, but it's very relevant here. I have already told you the story, the Princess of Kashi. Many of you have heard it, but it's very relevant here. The story goes that there was a prince, there was a kingdom in ancient India where in the court a play was staged. And in the play, one of the roles was the role of a little girl who was the Princess of Kashi. Kashi, you know, Benares, that was a big city in ancient India. Now, they couldn't find a little girl to play the role, so the queen said the prince can be dressed up. The prince was a little boy at that time, 5 years old, so he can be dressed up as a girl, as a princess, and he can be the Princess of Kashi. So they dressed up the prince as a princess, and the play was staged. And the boy looked so cute, the queen said, make a painting. Today it would be so easy, just click, but selfie or something. But make a painting, and the court painter made a painting, a portrait of the boy dressed as the Princess of Kashi, and he titled it, named it the Princess of Kashi, dated it, and so on and so forth. 15 years passed. The prince was quite grown up, 20 years old now, doing all kinds of princely things. And then one day he was exploring the palace, and he goes into one of the old storage rooms underground, and he looks around the old stuff, and he discovers this old painting, wipes the dust off it, and sees the Princess of Kashi, and says, oh, she's about my age, look at the date, so she must be as old as me. And he falls in love with her, and he says, this is the princess I want to marry. Unless I marry this princess, I will never be happy in life again. A royal wedding recently. But he's shy, he can't tell his mother or his father, the king or the queen. And they notice something is wrong with their son, because he is moping and he doesn't seem to be interested in anything anymore. Finally, a wise minister goes and asks him, what ails you, prince? You can confide in me. And the prince says, well, what can I tell you? I am in love. Very good. Who is she? Oh, she's the Princess of Kashi. Good, a princess. Perfect. That's very good. Where did you meet her? I haven't met her. I've seen her picture. A picture. Very good. Where is the picture? Well, it's down there. It's I'll show you. It's an old picture. It was painted when she was 5 years old. The date says many years ago, 15 years ago. Then the minister says, wait a minute, old picture and the Princess of Kashi. Can you take me to that picture? And the prince takes him down into that cellar and shows him the painting. And the minister sees that and tells the prince, you need to sit down for this. That is not the Princess of Kashi. So whoever she is, I'll marry her. No, prince. Many years ago, there was this drama staged, a play was staged in the court, and we needed to have a person who would play the Princess of Kashi, and we found you to be the perfect one to play the Princess of Kashi, so you are that thou art. Tattvamasi. And the prince sits down. And now what happens to the desire in the prince's mind? It is called in Sanskrit sankalpa. I want this. What happens to the desire? It disappears immediately. Why did it disappear? Because he could not fulfill it, because the Princess of Kashi, it does not exist apart from him. He alone is the Princess of Kashi and always has been. This idea of duality, something apart from him which is nice and which he wants, this led to the sankalpa in the mind. And that sankalpa, that desire, I want this. It could be the other way around also, something bad, I want to avoid this. I want to get this, I want to avoid this. Raga dvesha. This is at the root of samsara. His sankalpa disappeared immediately. Why did it disappear? Because duality, dvaita disappeared. There is no second thing, no person called Princess of Kashi apart from me. This is what the prince realized. Dvaita, duality disappeared. The moment duality disappeared, sankalpa in the mind also disappeared. That there is something out there which I have to achieve or get. No, it is me. And when the sankalpa has gone, raga, dvesha, attraction, repulsion is gone, it is me alone. What is there in me to be gotten rid of, or what is there in me to be achieved? It's always there with me. I am myself. So when the duality goes, merges back into the non-dual self, the sankalpa, it's a very beautiful story actually, it applies so directly to this. He says, when the reality is understood, atma satyanubodhena, na sankalpayate yada, when one realizes the truth about oneself, that the Princess of Kashi is none other than me, then the mind does not do a sankalpa, that I want this. Why? Grahya bhave. Because there is no separate reality to grasp. Tadagraham, the mind becomes non-grasping. This non-grasping, ever-free mind, he says, amanastam tadayati. This is no mind. This is no mind. And this is freedom. Look, the difference here is, the prince still has his eyes open. The yogi would have said, don't look at the Princess of Kashi. Keep your eyes closed. If you don't think about it, it will be all right. The non-dualist Advaitin says, keep your eyes open. Experience the world as it is, but rooted in the knowledge of the self, that I am the non-dual self. This entire world shining forth. This world is your Princess of Kashi. This world, yes. This is your Princess of Kashi. The good and the bad, all of it is you. Not the slightest difference between you. By you I mean the real you. That's why Gaudapada first said, Atma Satyanubodhena. Once you realize the truth about yourself. After that, not as a body and mind. Then everybody else is a body. If you are a body, everybody else is a body also. If you are a person, everybody else is a person also. If you are pure consciousness, then the entire world, you see, appears in you, the pure consciousness. Samsara disappears. You see, this is the important thing. Difference between the yogic approach and the Vedantic approach. The yogic approach seeks to free you by erasing samsara, shutting down samsara. It's like you're watching a movie, a horrifying movie. You've forgotten it's a movie, you're scared. What's the way to come out of being scared? The yogi will tell you, switch off the movie. The Vedantin is telling you, see that it's a movie. Then the most horrifying movie also you'll enjoy it, you'll give Oscar award to it. The more horrifying, the more Oscar awards you'll give to it. Atma Satyanubodhena, samsara goes away. One Swami said, very interestingly, that Advaita bhala vyavahar mitane ke liye nahi. Non-duality, Advaita, is not meant for wiping out your activities in this world or for destroying your life in this world. Oh no. Then what is an Advaita? What does it do? In Hindi he said, Advaita आपको व्यवहार में निर्बाध बना देता है. Makes you absolutely limitless and freeless, and limitless and free. Limitless and free in your life. Right now we are limited. I am different from you. This is limit. My life is limited. I was born in such and such time. I'm going to die after some time. My capacities are limited. I'm a tiny being in the vastness of time and space. What Advaita does is, it shows you the entire vastness of time and space is nothing other than you. You are the infinite consciousness in which the entire universe appears. How does it do that? How does it do that? How can you see God with eyes open? Kabir, he says, Khule nain dekhu sahab ko. I shall see my Lord, my beloved Lord, with open eyes, not just in meditation, with open eyes. Sri Ramakrishna says, Chok bandu kurli tini achin, chok khulle tini nahi. You can see God only with closed eyes. You cannot see God with open eyes. What kind of God it is? That if just closing the eyelids, then only God is there. If you open your eyelids, God goes away. It's a very weak kind of God. Can't you see God with open eyes? This seeing God with open eyes, which Sri Ramakrishna talks about, this seeing, Sahab ko dekhu khule nayan, with open eyes do I behold my beloved. That is Kabir. Just by the way, next week on Friday at 7:30 to 8:30, we have a wonderful event. Prahlad Singh Tipania, if you look him up on YouTube, he's a new sensation, I think, in India, who sings Kabir bhajans. A very natural, very spiritual man. With his team, he's going to come here for 1 hour. He's going to perform, and there's going to be a professor from, she's from the Harvard Divinity School. She's going to help us with the translations and guide us through it. So, very wonderful event. Same Kabir. So, how do we do that? The answer is, Gaudapada says, Viveka. What is Viveka? Look at the answer given by the yogi. The yogi says Samadhi. The Advaita, non-dualist, says Viveka. This spiritual discrimination, Sri Ramakrishna said, always discriminate, separate the eternal and the non-eternal. How do you do that? Gaudapada says, even the name Vivekananda, that comes from that, Viveka. Viveka is the peculiar method of non-dualism. There is a beautiful verse to Vivekananda, which goes this way. Anitya drishyeshu vivichya nityam tasmin samadhatta ihasma leelaya viveka vairagya vishuddha chittam yoso viveki tamaham namami. I salute that Viveki, the one who has Viveka. You see, the word Viveka is common in Indian languages, in Bengali or Hindi. There it means conscience. That which inside, the voice inside which tells us what is right and wrong. But there is a deeper philosophical, spiritual meaning to Viveka which you find in Vedanta. It is related. Conscience basically helps you to separate right from wrong. This separation, this philosophical separation in your understanding, in your grasping, that is done in Vedanta. What is Viveka in Vedanta? In that verse to Vivekananda, it is said, Anitya drishyeshu, in this spectacle of ever-changing, temporary, transient world in life, Anitya, all transient. Drishya means experienced objects, this experienced life. In the midst of this, while experiencing this, he was able to discern the eternal. Here itself, Anitya drishyeshu vivichya nityam. He was able to separate Viveka. Separate how? Not physically, not with pincers or forceps. In your understanding, he was able to note, recognize in this very experience, in our experience of life, the eternal consciousness, existence, consciousness, bliss. How? You will ask. We want to know how to do that. I'm coming to that, don't worry. Wait just a minute. Let me finish the translation of that verse. And having separated in his understanding, what did he do? Tasmin samadhatta. His mind became absolutely absorbed in that. Samadhista. Became absorbed in the non-dual reality. With great difficulty? With tremendous effort? No. Ihasma lilaya, like play, like child's play. Why is it so difficult for us, and why was it like child's play for Vivekananda? The next line says, Viveka vairagya vishuddha chittam. The mind which is purified, prepared by Viveka, this philosophical insight, and vairagya, dispassion. Go back to what Sri Ramakrishna said. Continuously discriminate between the eternal and the non-eternal, and have vairagya for the non-eternal. So that is where the shoe pinches for most of us. Even the understanding is not so difficult, but then letting go is a little difficult. Mentally again, letting go. So how do we do that? Where the name Vivekananda comes from. How do we practice this vairagya? How do we see the eternal in this non-eternal? Gaudapada says, and that is the teaching of the Mandukya Upanishad, look at our lives. Our day has these three experiences: the waking experience, the dream experience, and the deep sleep experience. What are we? Who am I? What am I? Am I this person who's sitting here or talking here? Am I the person who, when I fall asleep, maybe I'm walking in somewhere in Mumbai or in Delhi, in a dream? Am I that person? Or is it the blankness of deep sleep, knowing nothing, knowing neither myself nor the world? Am I that person? That experience? Gaudapada says, the Mandukya says, you are the one consciousness in which the waker and the waker's world appears, in which the dreamer and the dreamer's world appears, in which the deep sleeper and the deep sleeper's world, I won't say appears, does not appear, blank. You are one consciousness. You are not the waker. The good way of understanding this is our dream example. In our dreams, our mind, when we fall asleep, it constructs a world. And in your dream, you are there also, right? You are also there in your own dream. You don't think it's a dream. You think you are there and you are experiencing something. It's like waking. It's only when you wake up from the dream, that moment of waking up, what is your discernment? What is your understanding? What is your viveka? Oh, it was a dream. All of it, all the people I saw, all the places I went to, all the time that passed, all the events that happened, and most interestingly, even I myself in that dream, that body, that person in the dream, all of it was dreamt up by my mind. And I wake up saying, oh, it was just a dream. But note, all of it was your mind. You alone became the subject and the object. You alone became the good and the bad. You alone became pleasant and unpleasant experiences. You alone became time and space in your dream. Exactly like that in the waking also, not the mind. It is consciousness alone which appears as the waking experiencer, you the subject right now, what you think yourself to be, and your world, this world. Both of them are appearances in one consciousness which you really are. That one consciousness is apart from the waker, dreamer and deep sleeper. So the fourth, it's called the fourth Turiyam. First waker, second dreamer, third deep sleeper, fourth is the Turiyam. Is apart from it, but also underlying it, the ground of these three. Just like you, the waker, when you dream, you are apart from the dream person or the dream world, but you are the ground of that. Because of you, the dreamer and the dream person and the dream world appears. In the same way, you are the one consciousness apart from the waker, dreamer and deep sleeper, and yet in and through the waker, dreamer and deep sleeper. This is called Atma Anatma Viveka. Remember, what are we doing now? Viveka, discrimination. Atma Anatma Viveka. Self, non-self. Not nonsense, non-self. The discrimination between self and non-self. Atma Anatma Viveka. Note some three things about it. One is the one consciousness is neither born nor dies. It's the person in the dream or in the waking who is born and dies. The body is born and the body dies. People are born and die. Things are created and destroyed. Things in the dream or in the waking world are non-eternal, temporary. They're subject to birth and death. That consciousness is not subject to birth and death. Atma is nityam, eternal. Anatma, not self, anityam. This is viveka, nitya anitya viveka. Another thing note, even in this world, right now, everything is changing, but the consciousness to which appears this changing world, that consciousness is not changing. Body is changing. Body, traditionally they say six-fold changes. Jayate, asti, vardhate, viparinamate, apakshiyate, nashyati. It is born, comes into existence, grows and develops, becomes mature, then begins to deteriorate in old age, and finally dies. Six-fold changes. And all of them are noted by the same unchanging consciousness. Consciousness, the Atma, the Self, non-changing. Everything else in the world, whether it's waking world or dream world, changing. Deep sleep world, in the deep sleep no change is noted, but the deep sleep state itself changes into the waking and dreaming. So, Atma, nirvikara. Nirvikara means unchanging. Anatma, savikara. It changes. Whether it's the waking world, dream world, or deep sleep. Note one more thing, another point. This is the deeper point. The Turiyam, the pure consciousness, and the waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, are they different? They're actually not different. You, the person in your dream, and you, the person who's dreaming, are the two of you different? No. You, the dreamer, when you are sleeping in your bed and dreaming, you yourself have become the person in your dream, right? That person in the dream is not different from you. You exist without that person in the dream. Because you were there before the dream started, you are there when the dream is there because you are dreaming it, and you will be there when the dream ends, when you wake up. But that person in the dream cannot exist without you. As long as you dream, you, the person in the dream, you will be there. When you do not dream, that person is not there anymore. So, what is the point here? Atma satyam anatma mithya. Very important point. You, the pure consciousness, the witness consciousness, you are the reality, and the waker, dreamer, deep sleeper are the appearances. Just as the person in your dream is your appearance in the dream. Like a role an actor plays on stage. So, all of this, the waker, dreamer, and deep sleeper, and the waker's world, dreamer's world, and the deep sleep darkness, they are all appearances of you, the one consciousness. That one consciousness, the Atma, Satyam, it is the truth, it is the reality. The rest, the other three are appearances. Shankaracharya, in his invocatory verses on the commentary to Mandukya Upanishad, he says, Maya Sankhya Turiyam, a very evocative phrase. The real Atman, Satchidananda, you are called the fourth only when you count through Maya. When you count 1, 2, 3, these three steps you count are false. They are not really there. Only with respect to waker, dreamer, deep sleeper are you the fourth. But really speaking, you are the one. Those three are your appearances. Atma Satyam, Anatma Mithya. The self is real. The non-self is an appearance. Put it all together. Atma, Anatma, Viveka. Number one. Atma is Nityam, eternal, and the Anatma is non-eternal. Number two. Number three is Atma is unchanging, Anatma ever-changing. Number four is that Atma is Satyam, Anatma Mithya. Put them all together, what you will get is this. If the Anatma is Mithya, can you really count it? It's like an example I gave. If I eat a cookie and then I like it, and at night I dream about eating 3 more cookies. In the morning, will I say I've eaten 4 cookies? I can't say that. I cannot count the dream cookies. It works the other way also. You earn a lot of money, you get a lot of money in your dream and win the lottery, and you're counting the dollar bills. That counting is of no good when you wake up. You can't take that money to the bank. No. But you don't have to pay taxes on it also. That's also there. So, You cannot count the false along with the real. You cannot count the appearance along with the reality. The two cannot be counted together. I give the example of the ornaments made of gold. So a necklace or a bangle or a ring made of gold, and gold itself. So if there are 3 ornaments and then somebody mentions gold, so does it become 4? No. Gold is the one reality and the 3 are appearances of that one reality. You cannot count the 3 ornaments along with gold, because gold is the reality of those 3 ornaments. If you cannot count waker, dreamer and deep sleeper and their universes along with the Turiya, then Turiya becomes one without a second. Ekam eva dvitiyam. One without a second. Without a second, if you put it in Sanskrit, it means Advaita. Without a second, if you put it in Sanskrit, it means Advaita. So you are Advaita. When you realize this, amanastam tadayati, the mind becomes without sankalpa, it becomes no mind. It still works. You can see the world. You can experience the world. You can use the mind. You can do everything. But like the princess of Kashi, you know it's not a separate reality out there which I have to chase or I have to be afraid of. You become fearless. You attain to fearlessness. Fearlessness is in fact the sign of enlightenment. When Janaka attained enlightenment, his guru told him, Abhayam vai praptosi Janaka. He didn't say you have become enlightened. He said you have become fearless. You become fearless. So, this is the meaning of no mind. This no mind does not force you to sit in meditation. You can sit in meditation. In fact, if you concentrate deeply upon this Turiyam, the self, the mind will go into samadhi. So samadhi is not excluded from Gaudapada's definition of no mind. It is there. But it's not a kind of God or reality which you have only with closed eyes. You can as well experience it with open eyes. The prince does not have to close his eyes. The prince can open his eyes and see the portrait of the princess of Kashi, and it looks different, it is called something different, and yet he knows it is I. Aham Brahmasmi. I am all of this indeed. Even with open eyes, even talking, walking, doing one's job in life, living a perfectly ordinary life. It won't be an ordinary life really. Internally it will be an extraordinary life. But that is possible. God is available not only in Samadhi. One Swami in the Himalayas, humorously he said, if the yogi thinks God is available only in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, when you sit in meditation, world is shut out, I forget my body, I forget the world, then God will somehow pop into existence. So that Swami, he put it in Hindi, I'll translate for you. He said, Lo, apne pyare ko samadhi ke jail khane mein band kar diya. Look, now you have put your beloved Lord, you have put your beloved Lord into the jail, into the prison of samadhi, and locked it and thrown away the key. Because God is available only in samadhi. If I cannot reach samadhi, I cannot reach God. In mystic trance, in mystic absorption, certainly God is available there, but also here, also now. Just today we were reading Sri Ramakrishna. Somebody asked Sri Ramakrishna, why can't I see God? What prevents me from seeing God? And Sri Ramakrishna, in a simple way, sitting on the cot, he took his towel, in Bengali gamcha, and put it on his face. He says, now you cannot see my face? Yes, because of the towel. And remove the towel, you can see my face now? Yes. Just like that, because of our ignorance, we cannot see God. God is, he says the next, God is everywhere, here and right now. It is because of my ignorance that I cannot see God. This ignorance is removed by Viveka. Then with eyes open or with eyes closed, the same reality. It's always there. This teaching, Gaudapada gives it a beautiful name, Asparsha Yoga, the yoga of no contact. The yoga of no contact, Asparsha Yoga. Swami Ranganathanandaji, the 13th president of our order, he was fond of this term. He used to call it Advaita Vedanta is Asparsha Yoga. It's also a yoga, a spiritual path. But what kind of spiritual path? A unique spiritual path, which is called the path of no contact. Why the path of no contact? Because, you see, Brahman and the world are not enemies. The real and the false are not enemies. You might think that reality and falsity are enemies. No. What is an enemy of falsity is the knowledge of reality. You see, the false snake and the real rope are not enemies. They are not contradictory. It is because of the real rope that you can mistake it and see it as a snake. The desert is not an enemy of the mirage water. It is because the desert exists that we have the illusion of a mirage water. What contradicts the mirage, the water in the mirage, or what contradicts the false snake? Our knowledge that it is a rope, our knowledge that it's a mirage, it's not really water. That contradicts. So knowledge of reality is the enemy of falsity. But reality as such is not the enemy of falsity. In fact, reality is very kind. It tells falsity, you come and settle down here, I have no problem. Make your house here. After all, if it is true that Vedanta is at all true, then we are Brahman. When? Now. So after realization? After realization certainly, but before realization you are not Brahman, you are Brahman right now. What is this world? It is Brahman, it is the absolute right now. But there is nowhere, we have no idea about the absolute. Brahman, the absolute right now, is the ground of the appearance of this world. This world appearance has no enmity with Brahman. It is because of Brahman that this world is appearing. It is because of Brahman that we have samsara. The knowledge of Brahman is the enemy of samsara. Brahma Jnana is the enemy of samsara, not Brahman itself. Brahman itself has no enmity with samsara. Why? Because there is no real contact between Brahman and samsara. Samsara cannot disturb Brahman. Samsara cannot harm Brahman. The rope, the false snake, cannot harm the rope. Does the rope become poisonous because of the false snake? No. Shankaracharya says, the water in the mirage, in Sanskrit, Marumarichika, the water in the mirage, all the water in the mirage is not sufficient to wet even a single grain of sand in the desert. Right? Because it's not really there. So the appearance, the false world cannot do any harm to you, the real you. Because there is no point of contact between reality and falsity. Because reality is all that exists. If two things exist, then there's a question of contact. If two things exist, but two things do not exist, it only seems to be two because when you try to enlighten a person, when you give a teaching, the person knows the world. Then you have to introduce something called God. And then finally show that it is God alone which is appearing as you and the world. But first it seems there are two things now, world and God. Person knows, I am body and mind. Then you have to introduce something called Atma, self. Then the person thinks, okay, this is not the self, there is something called the self. But after enlightenment, that self alone appears as body and mind. Don't you alone appear as the dreamer's body and the dream person in the dream? All of that is you alone. So it is actually one reality. And the feeling of two, it is an in-between interim stage. The example which I gave about the pot and the clay and the pot. First there is a pot. And then we are told that the constituent of this pot is clay. There is a cause, a material cause of this pot, and that is called clay. At this point you will start thinking there are two things. There is a pot and there is clay. Then you examine the pot and you find top to bottom, inside, outside, it's all clay. In fact, you are hard pressed to find anything called pot. Because every real thing there is clay. Every bit of it is clay. There is no such separate thing as pot. And finally you realize it is clay and clay alone. Pot is a name, it's a form, it's a particular use, nama rupa vyavahara. The real problem comes if you stop halfway. If you're told, here is a pot, and there's a reality called clay, then you start thinking, okay, there's a pot and clay. then you are in trouble. Alan Watts calls it the clay pot theory becomes the crackpot theory. Why? If you stop at this point, what happens is, then you are all the time searching for some God somewhere, which is the cause of this universe. Or when you look inside, like the Hindu dualists, the Naiyayikas do, body, mind, and some self, some Atma is there separately. You keep searching. So clay pot theory becomes crackpot theory then. That is the problem. If you stop at this point, that is why the yogis say you have to blank out the world to realize the self. Because they think there are two things. You have to shut your eyes to the... Do you really have to shut your eyes to this lectern to see the wood here? If I say, see the podium, say, yes, Swami. If I say, see the wood here, you'll say, yes, Swami, it's pretty easy. Do you have to shut your eyes to see the wood? No. To see the waves in the ocean, go to the beach? Yes, with open eyes. To see the water, do you have to shut your eyes? No. With open eyes, you can see the water. It's a change in paradigm. It's a change in your understanding. The shift is internal. The yogi, because he thinks water and wave are separate things. Gold and ornaments are separate things. You have to shut your eyes, then you can see the reality. So I'll end with a beautiful verse, Asparsha Yoga. That now we understand why it is called no contact. Because there's one reality. Does the clay ever come in contact with the pot? Now you'll understand. The clay never comes in contact with anything called pot. The pot is a construct which we think of. The clay in that form, we call it a pot. There is no thing called pot with which the clay will come in contact. So the clay is asparsha. It has no contact with the pot. Brahman, Atman, pure consciousness is asparsha. It has no contact with this appearance of the world. So Gaudapada has this beautiful verse, a slightly mischievous verse at the end, where he pokes fun at the yogis. He says, Asparsha yoga vai nama durdarsham sarva yogi bhi yogino bibhyati yasmat abhaye bhayadarshina. This teaching is called Asparsha Yoga, the path of no contact. And it is very difficult for yogis to understand this. It's very difficult for yogis to understand this. Why? The yogis are afraid of this path, are scared of this path, because they see fear in the fearless. Abhaye bhayadarshina. They are the ones who see fear in the fearless. Open your eyes, see the picture of the princess of Kashi. No, you will be attracted to that. Don't open your eyes, keep your eyes closed. No. So, abhaye bhayadarshina, they see fear in the fearless. Once you realize this as Brahman, you are the fearless. This world itself is the fearless. There is no fear here. Sri Ramakrishna says, people call it, he uses two words, dhokartati, this world is a place of deceit and fraud. He says, but I see it as mojarkuti, a mansion of mirth. What is the mansion of mirth? This world itself, after realization, after enlightenment. This world itself is Brahman, the mansion of mirth. Abhaye bhayadarshinaha. So let us put it all together. No mind. This teaching of no mind. We noticed that because of the movement of the mind, we tend to think that there is a world of duality. World of duality leads to bondage, non-duality leads to freedom. So no mind is the key, amani bhava. How do you achieve no mind? The yogi says by samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi. Shut out the world. Don't get involved in the world. Stay in samadhi and finally give it up. Vivekananda said, he who runs away to meditate and die in a Himalayan cave has missed the way. Don't look at the picture of the princess of Kashi. So that is one approach to no mind. Another approach to no mind is given by Gaudapada Acharya. He says, Atma Satyanubodhena, by Viveka. Atma Anatma Viveka, by the Viveka of self and not self. By the Viveka, by seeing that the self is eternal and not non-eternal, by seeing that the self is unchanging and the not self changing, by seeing finally the self is real and the not self is an appearance, by this Viveka, you will realize the self alone is non-dual, Advaitam. When you come to the non-duality of the self in this way, you have achieved Amani Bhava. And that Amani Bhava is permanent. It's not dependent on any kind of practice anymore. You see it as very natural. Very good. Let me do a peace chant and then I'll come back for Q&A. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.
Om Ashato Ma Sadgamaya Tamasho Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityur Ma Amritangamaya Abir Maidhi Rudro Jatte Dakshinang Mukham Te Namang Pahi Nityam Te Namang Pahi Nityam. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality, and evermore shine in our hearts with your resplendent face. Om peace, peace, peace. So we are very happy again today that Swami Sarvapriyananda ji will be speaking, and the topic is when you know yourself, you know God. Very Vedantic, and Swami is always Vedantic. And we all know how he is influencing the mind of many people all over, and really people are coming to the thought, thinking differently, which was Swami Vivekananda's thought. We forgot that type of identification, and is reminding us all the time in all his talks and lectures. He does not need any introduction. We used to call him YouTube Swami. And now his name is enough, so I don't want to say anything, but only his new experience being a fellow from the Harvard Divinity School has added something more to his own dimension of expressing the Vedantic truth. So we sometimes get a glimpse of that through his talks and lectures. So we are very happy to have him here today and this evening. After that, he will have question answer. So he will mentally get ready to put some questions, but very sharp and very pointed, so that time is not wasted. I welcome Swami Sarvapriyananda ji to speak.
Om Sthavakaya cha dharmasya sarva dharmaswarupine avatara varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha.
Good evening and namaste, everybody. I offer my pranams to revered Swami Sarvadevananda Ji Maharaj, other revered monks and nuns who are present here. Namaste and hello to all friends. Many of you I recognize in spite of the masks. In New York, a small group which comes during the pandemic time and all masked. So after some time, you get to know the masks. So once I said, so many familiar masks here today. Swami Brahmananda is is very central to this ashrama. I was reading one of the reminiscences of the early days of the ashram when Swami Prabhavanandaji had set up this center. And somebody who came to visit, he said that the Swami thinks of himself very much as a second in command. In every room there's a picture of Swami Brahmananda, his guru, his teacher. And he always feels, Swami Prabhavanandaji, he always feels that he is doing his guru's work, Swami Brahmananda's work, and he always feels the presence of Swami Brahmananda in this ashram. Swami Brahmananda, of course, was central to the founding and the growth of the entire Ramakrishna movement, and especially the Ramakrishna order of monks. But very few people know that he actually wrote a book. There's a wonderful book written by Swami Prabhavanandaji about him, Eternal Companion. Wonderful book. But that's about him. But there is a book that Swami Brahmananda himself wrote. And that is a collected teachings of Sri Ramakrishna. In Bengali, it is this book, Sri Ramakrishna Upadesh. And in English, it's the words of the master, words of the master. And in this, he put down the choicest teachings of Sri Ramakrishna. In fact, there's this story in Banaras, when he was writing this book late in the night, and he heard the voice of Sri Ramakrishna saying, this is long after Sri Ramakrishna's Mahasamadhi. Swami Brahmananda heard the voice of Sri Ramakrishna saying, I didn't quite say it this way, I said it this way. So you have Sri Ramakrishna looking over his shoulder and see what exactly are you putting down. So I say this is a book, the teachings are spoken by Sri Ramakrishna, compiled by Swami Brahmananda, who was his spiritual son. And proofread and edited by Sri Ramakrishna himself. Years ago, I read Swami Ashokanandaji. He said that this book is going to be a spiritual classic in times to come. And in times to come, people will carry it around in their pockets. So after reading that, I've been carrying it around in my pockets, which explains the tattered state of this book. So I always carry this wherever I go. Now, what I'll do today, we will read two texts, just the first 3 points from this book, just the first 3 quotes, 3 teachings from this book, and another text, maybe 5,000 years ago, the Taittiriya Upanishad. We will read them together and see what comes out of it. We are well acquainted with the high devotional teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, but the equally high non-dualistic teachings. You see, what will come out when we read this, you'll be surprised to see what are the teachings which Swami Brahmananda picked and chose. And the first thing he says, the second thing he says, the third thing he says, extremely high non-dualistic teachings. So we'll dive into this and read these 2 texts millennia apart, not just centuries apart, but we'll read them together, and you'll see how remarkable they seem to speak to each other across the millennia, across the centuries. In the third point, I'll start with the third point. It's numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. The third teaching is, I'll read the original Bengali and then translate back into English. The third teaching is, এক ব্যক্তি তাকে বলেছিলেন, a certain individual said to him, meaning Sri Ramakrishna, asked him. What did he ask? আমার এক কথায় জ্ঞান হয়, এ মতো উপদেশ দিন. Tell me one thing by which I will be enlightened. You're allowed only one sentence. He's clever, because otherwise there is the 1,000 pages of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. You can go read that. Well, he says, no, you're limited to one sentence. Ek kotha, one thing you tell me. Tini bollen, he, Sri Ramakrishna said, Brahma Shatya Jagat Mithya, eiti dharana karo. He said, Brahman is real, the world is an appearance, world is false. Contemplate this, assimilate this. Dharana is to assimilate this teaching. Iha bolia chup koriya rohilen. Having said this, Sri Ramakrishna fell silent. He kept quiet. And there's, interestingly, there's Problem with the English translation. If you look at the words of the master here, what they have done is, he said the Brahman is real, the world is false, assimilate this teaching, and then keep quiet. Sri Ramakrishna is telling the person to keep quiet after assimilating this teaching, which is not at all what is meant here. It's very clear here. Swami Brahmananda is saying that Sri Ramakrishna fell silent after saying this, which is to emphasize that this is the essential teaching. That's all that there is. If you want it in one sentence, Brahman is real, the world is false. And not even that you are Brahman, that part also he has not even added that. Just Brahman is real, the world is false, assimilate this. And then he fell silent. Then we'll go to the first teaching. So what is Brahman and how do you assimilate this teaching? What do you do actually? So what is that reality and how do you realize it? And what is the result of it all? That basically covers all of spiritual life, and that's what we're going to cover in the next 45-50 minutes. So the first teaching, I'm going from the third back to the first teaching. The first thing that Swami Brahmananda has recorded here, Manush apnake chinte parle Bhagavan ke chinte pare. When you, a human being, a person, knows who he is, you know God. When you know yourself, you know God. How do you know yourself? Ami ke bhalo roop bichar korle dekhte pawa jay. Inquire, make a thorough inquiry into who am I? Who am I? More in the sense of what am I actually? Ami bole kono jinish nei. At the end of the inquiry, what will you find? You won't find there is anything corresponding to I. See, what it means is, every word has it refers to something. When I say bottle, it refers to this thing, bottle. When I say I, what does it refer to? And Sri Ramakrishna says you have to inquire. Why do you have to inquire into the I? There's a tremendous amount of Vedantic dialectics regarding this. Somebody will ask, what's the point of this inquiry? First of all, I already know who I am, one. Number two, even if I were to inquire, there's no point. Even if I know who I am, what good does it do me? And then there's pages and pages of discussions and dialectics about this, that you do not really know who you are, first. And second, it does you a tremendous amount of good. There's nothing more valuable than this knowledge, to know who you are, and so on. So here, if you inquire thoroughly into what the word I stands for, bottle, this thing. I, what? He says, you will not find anything. Very Buddhistic. And then he says, how do you do it? How do you inquire into the I? And look at the step by step how it is going. No knowledge of Brahman, that's the highest thing. Hold on to that. That's spiritual life. What do you mean by knowledge of Brahman? You have to know yourself. How do you know yourself? He says, inquire, vichar, inquire into it. How do you inquire? Who am I? What am I? And how do you do that? Hat, pa, rakto, mangsho, ittadi, er konta ami. This is the form of the inquiry. Hands and feet and blood and flesh and, all of this. What is the I here? When I say bottle, here. I. We will immediately say, it's not so difficult, Swami. I, here. And Sri Ramakrishna says, okay, here, let's take a look at this here. Flesh and blood and hands and feet and head and bones and tissues and organ systems and cells. What? Which one of them corresponds to the word I? Just like bottle. And he says, যেমন পেঁয়াজের খোসা ছাড়াতে ছাড়াতে কেবল খোসাই বেরোয়, সার কিছু থাকে না, সেই রূপ বিচার করলে আমি বলে কিছুই পাই না. Like you peel an onion and you keep peeling it. You're going to cry when you peel it. And what do you get? Skin. It's just layer after layer after layer. And there's no core to it. You don't get to an essential thing called an onion. At last I've got it. I peeled off everything and then got the onion. Nothing. What you refer to as an onion is that layered, multi-layered system of skins. of the onion, you find nothing. Similarly, when you inquire into the I, Ami bole kichui paine, you won't find anything corresponding to it. If you stop at this point, you get Shunyavada Buddhism, the Madhyamaka Buddhism of Nagarjuna. This is a subject in itself. When they say Sarvam Shunyam, all is void, all is empty. Emptiness is the ultimate reality. What does it actually mean? I just make a comment about it and then proceed. Traditionally, many systems have taken it to mean nihilism, that it means nothing. That they are saying that they means Nagarjuna, the Madhyamaka Buddhists, the entirety of modern Tibetan Buddhism, the Dalai Lama, all his followers, they are saying that ultimately nothing exists. Now that's a little unfair. Though many, many ancient schools of thought in India have charged them with this nihilism, nothingness. Because, first of all, Nagarjuna himself clearly says, that's not what we mean at all. It's not that something is existing, not that it is something that does not exist. It's not something that both exists and does not exist. It's not something that does not exist and does not exist. Chatushkoti vinirmukta tattvam shunyata. Emptiness is this fourfold alternatives beyond these, transcending these fourfold alternatives. But what does it mean actually? Either it means, no, there is nothing. Or it means that's just another way, a negative way, a particularly clever way of pointing to the same thing, the same Brahman which we are talking about, existence, consciousness, bliss. And that's what sort of we think they meant. But the issue is not very clear at all. In fact, as the Swami was saying, last year, one of the courses that I studied at Harvard University was with a world authority on Madhyamaka Buddhism by Professor Garfield. What is his opinion about what emptiness means, nothingness? Nothingness, according to him, I'll first tell you the terms he uses. He says what it means is epistemologically it is coherentism and metaphysically anti-foundationalism. So what does that practically mean? He says if you study Madhyamaka Buddhism, the Buddhism of Nagarjuna, and you get the feeling that you're endlessly dropping into a bottomless pit, you've got it right. There is no end to that, the discovery of emptiness. But he has a point there. What he is pointing to, if that is the teaching of Nagarjuna, it is something like this. You inquire into the essential nature of the self, of I, and you find there is nothing there. And we as Hindus will immediately say, yes, but I know, go one step forward and there is pure consciousness or Brahman. But let's not be impatient. One thing I noticed, if you stop there, that endless dropping into a bottomless pit, if that's it, that's the state you're going to hold on to, that also works actually. It dissolves the kind of thinking which says that the self is a thing. That is dissolved. And that can lead to freedom. Why not? And Sri Ramakrishna sort of supports it. When Narendranath has visited Bodh Gaya and come back and they're discussing Buddhism in front of Sri Ramakrishna, and somebody says the Buddha was an atheist, Gnostic, in the sense of atheism, Gnostic, in the sense of ultimate reality does not exist. Sri Ramakrishna immediately objected. He said, Gnostic kano hobe go? Why should it be Gnostic? He could not express what he found in language. And then, that's the thing which is often quoted. Then he said something which Professor Arindam Chakravarti recently pointed out to me. That is a very startling comment that Sri Ramakrishna makes. He says in Bengali, Osti nastir majhe jeta, tai thik thik. That which is between isness and not, is and not, and is not. Between is and is not. That's exactly it. But what's so startling about this? If he had said it is beyond is and beyond isness, osti nastir pare, beyond is and beyond isness, that's a very Vedantic way of formulating it. But Sri Ramakrishna uses a very odd usage of words for a Hindu spiritual teacher. In between, majhe. But it is exactly the language used by the Buddhists. Madhyama Pratipad, this is the middle way between eternalism and nihilism, between is and is not. And you stop there, that's very Buddhistic. Anyway, all of this is to underline the fact that if you stop at this point, it's very much what Tibetan Lama would agree with. But he doesn't stop here. He goes one step further. If you investigate, you will find nothing corresponding to the I. Sheshe ja thake tai atma chaitanya. What remains is the Atman, pure consciousness. Amar amitto dur hole Bhagavan dekha den. When the I-ness of the I is lost, the objective ego part of the I is transcended, then you realize God. Okay, so this is the Advaitic position. What is the other text I was going to talk about? It is the Taittiriya Upanishad. In the Brahmananda Valli, the second chapter, second section of the Taittiriya Upanishad, it starts with a dramatic declaration. One tiny sentence, short sentence, which I think encapsulates the entirety of Advaita Vedanta. Brahma vidapnoti param. The knower of Brahman attains the highest. And then next, Tadeshabhyukta. There is a verse about this. Satyam jnanam anantam brahma. Brahman is infinite existence consciousness. Satyam jnanam anantam brahma. Brahman is existence consciousness without limit. Yo veda nihitam guhayam parame vyoman so ashnute sarvan kaman saha brahmana vipaschiteti. How do you realize this? One who realizes this in the intellect, in the sacred space, in the cave of the intellect, basically as consciousness, as I am that Brahman. When you realize that I am Brahman, you attain the whatever you desire. All desires are fulfilled. You attain complete fulfillment. In identity with Brahman, which is pure consciousness, one attains total fulfillment. Fulfillment of all that one could want. So this is the section there. And you see how it matches. In one sentence, you realize Brahman. And how do you realize that? According to the Taittiriya Upanishad, within yourself as I am Brahman. And Sri Ramakrishna says, how do you realize that? You'll have to realize it as when you realize yourself, when you know yourself, you will know Brahman. But how do we know oneself? How do I know myself? What is the process? So that's what the bulk of our investigation will be there. What is the actual process of investigating into ourselves, which Sri Ramakrishna has just indicated here? Take a look at yourself. When you say I, what does it refer to? Refer to this, it refers to this. And what is this? You analyze it. Which one of this or which combination of things here is the I? So the Taittiriya Upanishad in the Brahmananda Valli gives us a step-by-step description of the process of inquiry. When you say, the knower of Brahman attains the highest, immediately you have these three questions. What is this Brahman? And that is answered. Brahman is infinite existence consciousness. How do I know this Brahman? That's the second question we have. And that's what we'll take a look at. And the third question we'll have, of course, attains the highest. What do you mean by the highest? And that's also mentioned here. You are completely fulfilled. You attain complete fulfillment, transcend all desires. It's the most precious thing one could have in life. It is the point of all of life. It is the meaning and purpose and goal of life, basically, to realize this thing. Now, what remains before us is the main subject today, is the process of inquiry. Can we go step by step into this and see for ourselves? As Sri Ramakrishna says, Vichar, inquire into it and see for yourself. What am I? And then we'll see the same results. Taittiriya Upanishad comes to that. By inquiry we find there's nothing corresponding to the I, and yet beyond that. When we go through this, the process always is that first, listen carefully. What was said? That's absolutely essential. It's no good that after the teaching, I know I've got many opinions here. He said this, he said, I think this works, or this was great. But what did he actually say? Oh, that I don't remember. That can often happen. So we have to be very careful about what is the teaching, first. Second, do I get it? Or is it confusing? Are there sides to it, aspects to it which I don't understand? So second question is, do I get it? And the third question is it real for me? So all of these three, you must check mentally. Every time we go through a step, you must check mentally. What did he say? Did I get it? And third, is it real? Is it a fact for me? If you can keep saying yes, yes, yes to all three, till the very end, you'll be enlightened before this class is over. But even if not, what we get out of this is very, very valuable. At least from our perspective, it is the essence of spiritual life. There is nothing higher than this. There's more than this. And the peak of the Everest is the highest point in the Himalayas. But the peak is not the only thing. There are beautiful valleys and there are many places to see. But in spiritual life, this is the ultimate, the highest, and the final realization. And it is enough. It is enough for attaining enlightenment and freedom. All right, so what is the process? How do I realize? And the Upanishad says, what do you think about yourself? When you say I, what comes to mind? We say this. And the Upanishad says, fine, let's start there. The Upanishad calls this the Annamaya Atma, the self made of food. Why the self? Because I think I am this. So I am this thing, this is the self. And this self is made of food. Annamaya means a transformation of food. What we eat and drink and assimilate, and that's transformed into this body. I keep remembering this Italian actress in the 1960s, I think. Here in Hollywood, she was asked, what's the secret of your beauty? And she would say, oh, it's pasta. And she was right. It's a transformation of food. Sophia Loren, right? Sophia Loren, yeah, right. I keep forgetting her name. Sophia Loren said, it's pasta. So this is I. I am this. And the Upanishad says, investigate. How do you investigate? If you take a closer look, this is continuously changing. From babyhood to childhood to teenage to middle age to old age, and then it dies. From birth to death, multiple changes, sixfold changes are there. You born and you come into being and you grow and develop, you mature, and the body begins to deteriorate and decay, and finally it dies. Multiple changes, sixfold changes it undergoes. And I have the sense of being the same person. I was this one who was in that baby body, in the teenage body, in the young person's body, in the middle-aged person's body, the old person's body. I am the same person. I have a sense of identity across changes in the body. We say, oh, no, you're playing with words, Swami, I am all of that. But if you look carefully, it can't be true. If two things are very different, B and C are very different, then how can A be both B and C? If A is identical with B, and when B changes and becomes C, then A can't remain the same and still be C. I mean, I'm putting it in abstract terms. One sadhu in Uttarakhand, in the Himalayas, somebody said, oh, but all of this, I am this entire thing. From childhood to old age, I am this entire body. I'm the young person also and the old person also. The mind also changes. It's sometimes happy, sometimes sad. Yes, but it's the same thing. I am also the one who is sad. I'm the one who's happy. And the monk replied, how is that possible? In Hindi, he said, main ghoda bhi aur gadha bhi. I'm the horse also and the ass also, the donkey. If the two things, logically, it can't be the same. If they are radically changing, then you can't remain. One of the two has to be false. Either I am the changing body and therefore I am not a unitary continuous thing. Then my intuition that I am one person has to be false. Or it is true that I am the same person, but I'm not literally, then in that case I cannot literally be the changing body. Because the body is changing and I have this strong intuition of being an unchanging person. I cannot be the same, literally be the same as the body. And the body is changing continuously. This in Sanskrit you put it in this way: savikara, nirvikara. Savikara with change. Vikara means change, modification. Nirvikara without change. The two cannot be the same. I cannot be the body. Why? Savikaratvat, because it is changing. a little more subtle, and I think more convincing. The body is a thing. It's an object, and I am the experiencer of the object. The seer and the seen cannot be the same thing. Drashta and drishya. You are the drashta, and this is drishya. You're looking at this bottle. You are seeing this bottle. The eyes see this bottle. The eyes and the bottle cannot be the same thing. It's a simple point, but it's worth noticing that the eyes can only see things which are different from the eyes. It has to be at a certain distance. The only thing that the eyes cannot see are the eyes themselves. So the drashta and drishya, the seer and the seen, the experiencer and the experienced, the subject and the object, they are not the same. They are not the same. The subject is different from the object. Subject and object are not the same. The body is clearly an object. Can you see the body? Yes. Can you touch the body? Yes. Touch, taste, see, hear, smell. Every sense organ operates on the body. The body is an object to every one of your own sense organs. So it's an object. If it's an object, it must be different from you, the experiencer. So, I, the experiencer of the body, I, the subject experiencing the body as an object, I must be different from the body. Drishyatvat, because it's an object of experience, I cannot be the body. Again, there are multiple ways of arguing this out. I'm going to take only three. The third one is jaratvat, because it's insentient. Whenever I think of myself, whenever we think of ourselves, we always think of ourselves as aware, as knowing subjects. Always, notice. You say, no, I'm not aware. Then you are aware of being not aware. You are always aware of something. So I'm always the one which is aware, and I'm aware of certain things. So I used this just now to say I am the knower and the body is the known. But it also means another point, that I am aware and the body is not aware. See, how does that work? Very simple. There's this psychologist in New York who is very influenced by Vedanta, Greg Good. He's written some books about Vedanta as the direct path. And I spoke with him, I corresponded with him, and he said that he started off in his Vedantic inquiries because he was inspired by Swami Adishwaranandaji in New York. He gives this example. If you look at the body, look at the hand. What's the feeling? You feel that I am aware of the hand. You don't feel that a hand is aware of me. Hello, Swami, long time no see. No. The hand is not aware of me. You just check your own feelings, experience. Check with your experience. I am aware of this thing. So I am aware. This thing is not aware of me. So this is not aware. I am Chaitana. This is Jada. In Sanskrit, Jada. Therefore, I cannot be this thing. Because conscious and not conscious are not the same thing. They cannot be. So we have got three reasons, three arguments, three ways of seeing. I am not the body. Why? He says it is because savikaratvat. It is subject to change. I am not. It is drishyatvat. It is an object of experience. I am the subject. It's known. I am the knower. And because jaratvat, it is insentient. I am sentient. I am conscious. I am aware. It is not conscious or aware. Now you might say the body is conscious. Body is full of awareness. Yes, that's a different subject matter. In Vedanta we say consciousness reflected in the mind is the reflected consciousness, chidabhasa. From there it comes to, from the mind it comes to the brain and the nervous system. And so the living body it feels full of awareness as long as life is there. So there is a whole system of how awareness sort of is borrowed by the mind-body system. But that's a different subject. But I essentially am aware, and the body in itself is not aware. Because of these reasons, I cannot be the body. Savikaratvat, drishyatvat, jaratvat. I am not the body. I have the intuitive feeling of not being subject to change. I have the intuitive feeling of being a knower, drashta, seer. And I have the intuitive feeling of being aware all the time. Therefore, I'm not the body. Body, the annamaya in Sanskrit, the food body, the food self, is not me. This is the conclusion we have come to. So Vedanta will say, if it is not me, where are you then? And we can take an intuitive look at your experience. Yeah, I feel I'm somewhere in there. All right, I sort of get begin to understand why you would say I'm not the body, but I cannot say that I'm not really related to the body. It has nothing to do with me. It seems to be very intimately connected to me. I'm somewhere in there. If you're in there, that's why Vedanta says you can treat the body, which is now no longer the self. It is no longer you, but you can treat it because you feel you're in there. You can treat it as a sheath, as a covering, as something that encloses you, sort of. It does not enclose you in, but let's treat it like that. That's why it's called a kosha. Kosha means achadaka. It covers. In Sanskrit, it means a covering. It covers you. The real you is somewhere in there, and it covers you. The Annamaya Atma, the food self, is now called Annamaya Kosha, the food sheath, covering. Then what is the self? Upanishad says, so you agree with us that we have come to this conclusion, this mutual understanding that the body is not the self? Yes, yes. And you feel the self is somewhere in there? Yes. Anyo antaratma pranamayaha. The self is anya. It is other than the body. Where? In there. Why in there? You say it. I'm not saying it. The Upanishad says it's what you who are saying that you feel you're in there. So you're in there. Antaratma. It's the inner to the physical body. By inner, I don't mean physically inner. Because physically, if you start probing like a doctor, what will you find in the body? More body. Flesh and blood and bones and so on, fluids. So inner means inner in a physiological sense. The subtler functions which keep the body alive. Yeah? The subtler functions which keep this body going. The vital functions. The vital self. Pranic self. Anyo antaratma pranamayaha. And the most evident clue about this is breath. Breath in itself is just a part of prana, but it's the most evident thing we feel. But are you life? Are you physiological processes in this body? Is that what you are? Is that what the self is? Immediately apply those criterion. Does it change? You bet it does. In breath, out breath. Healthy, sick, hungry, full, energetic, tired. These are all manifestations of prana, the surging and ebbing of the pranic tidal waves in the body. So, I am the one who was healthy. I am the same person who feels sick now. I'm the same person who recovers after treatment. I am the one who was feeling hungry. After a full meal, I am the one who feels satiated. Then which one am I? The changing prana and I, the unchanging one, I cannot be the same thing. Savikara, the prana is subject to change, continuous change. And again, is the prana something observable? Are you the observer of the prana? Well, you better be. The entire mindfulness industry depends on that. Yeah? Breathe in and be aware of your breathing in, and count 1 when the in-breath goes in. Does that sound familiar? And breathe out. It's a huge industry all over the United States right now, mindfulness. And it's a wonderful practice. But what Vedanta will take away from that is, so you can observe the breath. And with your mindfulness meditation master will tell you, observe the breath. And therefore Vedanta will say the breath is drishya, object of your awareness. You are aware of the breath. Is the breath aware of you? When you breathe in, we meet again, breath says to you, no, not at all. Breath is completely oblivious of you or anything else or even of itself. It does not know anything. You know it. Therefore, the breath is an object. You are the witness of that object. You are the experiencer. The breath is experienced. You are the subject. The breath is an object. Prana is an object which is experienced. Therefore, I cannot be the prana. I am the experiencer, not the experienced. I am the subject. I am not the object. And is the prana aware? It just follows. The prana is not aware. I am aware of the prana. Look, these are two subtle things. Drishyatvat and jaratvat. They're two related things, but they are different. One is, it's an object of, and I am the subject. The other one is, it is not aware, I am aware. So I am aware of the breath. The breath is not at all aware of me or anything else. I am conscious, the breath is not conscious. Therefore, I cannot be the breath. I, the unchanging, I, the subject, the seer, I, the conscious, the aware experiencer, I cannot be the breath, which is changing, which is an object, which is not conscious or not sentient. For I am not the pranamaya, I am not the physiological processes. The breath just sort of is a placeholder for all the physiological processes going on in the body. I am none of it, not the life processes. They are there, I'm aware of them, they're going on, and very good that they're going on, but I am not the breath. I am not the breath. I am not prana. Therefore, prana is not the self. You can't call it the Atma anymore. Where are you? Well, I'm sort of inwards to the prana, because I experience the prana. The prana is something sort of out there for me. Not only the physical body, the pranic body is also, it's a body, it's a sheath. Pranamaya kosha, not an atma, not the self. Then where are you? Anyoantaratma manomaya. The self is not the prana. It is separate, anya. And where is it? Antara. Subtler than the inward to the prana, subtler than the prana. Inward in the sense of subtler, not physically inward. Subtler than the prana. What is subtler than the prana? The mind, thoughts, feelings, emotions, memories, desires, all of that which is going on now, which is considering the prana, all of that, it's the mind. That's where all the sense organs dump their input. Vision and sound and smell and taste, all of that is registered, is transformed into vrittis, movements in the mind. I see, I hear, I smell, I taste, I touch. Mind. So I am the mind, and at this point most people stop. This is where people think I am this thing. No, I am a mind in a body. That's what most of us, we think that way. We say, yeah, I am not the breath. I'm certainly not a piece of flesh and blood. But it's there, a living body. I am a mind encased in a living body. And therefore, as long as the mind is there, I am there. I am this person. And what is the person? What's the person made of? Essentially a mind, but I guess the mind has to be in a living body, otherwise the mind wouldn't exist. So that's what we think. That's the common sense understanding of a person today. But let's again be very philosophical. Let's give no quarter. Let's be very firm and insist. Is the mind changing? You say, oh boy, does it change. Much more than the prana, much more than the physical body. Thousands and thousands of thoughts, feelings, emotions streaming through uncontrollably throughout the day. And even in sleep, in dreams. The mind is continuously changing. Which section, which slice of the mind are you? All of it. But all of it is not the same thing. It's changing continuously. Is it, are you aware of the mind? Can you know the mind? Yes. If you think about it, we can. If there's pain, if there is unhappiness, who knows it except me? I am the one who's unhappy. I am the one who's happy. I am the one who's remembering things. I am the one who feels I can't remember. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember. I am the one who wants things. I am the one who is angry, miserable. I am the one who is happy and delighted. All of these are in the mind. So therefore, I know what's there going on in my mind. I'm the first to know. But then Vedanta, what it takes away from there is, then the mind, you know the mind. The mind is known. It is drishya. You are the drashta. You are the knower of your mind. We know our minds, and therefore we are the knower of the mind, and knower and known must be different. Drashta and drishya must be different. They cannot be the same thing. Therefore, and one more thing, conscious and not conscious. This is the most stunning thing in Vedanta. This is where Vedanta parts ways with modern neuroscience. Till now, in consciousness studies, it's sort of standard to treat mind and consciousness as the same thing, sort of interchangeable. If you ask in consciousness studies, what is it that you study in consciousness studies? Oh, we study consciousness events. What are consciousness events? Thoughts, feelings, emotions, ideas. Vedanta will say, but is a thought conscious? You'll say, what a strange question. Nobody even asks this in consciousness studies.
I introduced this, this concept in class a couple of times at Harvard. They were puzzled. What are you talking about? And yet, I saw in many of the readings, we did a survey of the standard literature on consciousness studies, the philosophy of mind. And I saw that in many of the readings, the tangles they get into can often be untangled if you make a clear distinction between consciousness and mind. That they don't. How would you distinguish between consciousness and mind? Very simple, very elegant cutting tool, a knife which cuts consciousness and mind apart. What is that? That's what we use in Vedanta. Not even Vedanta. We go back to Sankhya, they have done it, it's basically their intellectual property. Distinction between consciousness and mind. What is that? How do you distinguish? That which you are aware of is not consciousness. That which is aware is consciousness. So can you speak of, if you can speak of something as this, then it is not consciousness. This bottle, not consciousness, it's an object. This hand, not consciousness, it's an object. This breath, not consciousness, it's an object. This thought, this feeling, this memory, this, not consciousness. Those are also objects. They are called sukshma, subtle objects. This is a gross physical object. And this is also a physical object, but that's a subtle object. But still an object, that's the point. It is drishyatvat, not mind. Mind is not the self. We are on very subtle grounds now, going inward from there. Then what is the self? Anyantaratma vijnanamayaha. Taittiriya Upanishad says, go subtler, deeper, inside. Anya, other than the mind, other than the physical body, other than the pranic body, other than the mind, which is now a body. We call it manomaya kosha. It's a sheath which covers you. It begins to feel like those Russian nesting dolls, you can say. But we'll see, ultimately, it's not like a Russian nesting doll. It's more like the onion Sri Ramakrishna talks about. Then it is not the mind also. Then what is it? So what in Vedanta, what we do is, you make a distinction within the mind itself, you make a distinction between the faculty of understanding, buddhi. We call it vijnana, understanding. What is understanding? Just that determinative faculty. When the feeling you get when you crack a mathematical problem, when you understand a problem for the first time, or the feeling you get when you do not understand something. What's going on there? That is the buddhi or the intellect, the vijnanamaya working away at. So that, for example, right now, what we are using to do all this, that is the vijnanamaya, the buddhi, the intellect. That intellect, which understands the mind, and through the mind experiences the prana and the body, and through the living body experiences the world, that intellect, I am that, and most people would really, really say, do please stop here, that's it. That's who I am. I am this intelligence operating the self.